Good evening, everybody, and welcome to F1 Tonight, the only Xbox Full Race Distance League. And we will be getting underway shortly, so stay with us, and qualifying will be starting within the next 5 to 10 minutes. We will advise you, stay tuned.
You know what? Here's a message for Charlie. I love you.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to F1 tonight. And we are at the Shanghai International Circuit here in China for race 3 of season 5. And we are in Q1, and we have 20 drivers, and the drivers apparently all on their outlaps, but we can't see them. That's very interesting. Let's have a look at this. Are we having little bit of fun here? Adrian is joining me in the commentary box. Adrian, are you having the same issue here? Okay, let me just try and see. Try again. Why is it not being checkbox? Yeah, that's okay. I'm not worried about that because it's only the other guys that can join it. Okay, we clearly have an issue here, unfortunately, with the broadcasts. So we're going to have to restart our broadcast and see if we can come back. Oh, hang on. I did have a driver there. Here we go. Ah, okay, that's why they're all in the pits. It's only Stan Drumkov coming out. That's why. So Stan Drumkov for Williams. And Kevin Van Delft need to disqualify themselves due to penalty. So they're coming out first just to disqualify themselves, which they should be doing. And driving down the wrong way down the track would normally do it, it has to be said. Don't you think, Adrian? Well, it's one way of doing it, I suppose. Now, before we get started, we will mention it a little bit more during the broadcast. We would like to pay a little tribute in our own way to the sad demise of Mr. Charlie Whiting from Real World F1, and great shame and a great loss certainly to the F1 world. I'm sure you agree on that, Adrian, as well, yeah? Yeah, very sad situation, it has to be said. So we are on board now in Q1, just under 16 minutes remaining. We are riding on board with John Donkel in the Renault. So first man out of the pits, and that's why we couldn't see anybody in the pits, because basically they were waiting for the Williams to come out and disqualify themselves. Now, Adrian, I just want to check whether, have you got a checkbox on your commentary or not yet? Okay, I am going to have to try and figure out this. So for those of you that are watching, I do apologise, but I need to try and figure out so I can get my co-commentator in. I'll just stay and not on there. There we go. That should do it now.
Right,
so
okay,
apologies for that little technical glitch. Hello, Adrian. How are you this evening?
Hello, much better now that you can hear me. Probably not the same the other way around.
No, it probably isn't, to be fair. So we can hear you now.
Eddie, just going back to what you were saying about Charlie, yeah, it's such a huge loss to the motorsport. Yeah, I don't know what more can really be said. It was I believe it was out of the blue, wasn't it?
It was very much out of the blue. In fact, Charlie was actually at the track yesterday from all the coverage I've been watching today. And yeah, it was a great surprise. He passed away in the early hours in Australia, which would have been, I guess, sort of early this afternoon, UK time, because obviously Australia 12 hours ahead of us. So yeah, indeed a great loss, and a number of the drivers in the press conference were making comment, and yeah, sad. I didn't really, you know, he was a great. How can I put it? Third party between the drivers and obviously the race officials and F1 management. And a lot of the drivers, as they said, and I think Danny Ricciardo said it himself, you know, they used to give him a lot of stick because he was the man to see to help out the drivers. He was very much a middleman between the drivers and F1 management, and obviously Liberty Media as well. So yeah, a great loss, and I think the drivers are certainly going to be very sad to see somebody that they knew, relied on, and was a trustworthy person and a great person. So yeah, very sad news indeed.
Yeah, and our drivers are sort of paying tribute to him by wearing black helmets, I believe, tonight, the majority of them.
Indeed. Well, John Donkel certainly is going to be, and we can see here, is racing with a black helmet as a sign of respect for Charlie. So and we've got a little write-up as well in the ticker tape on the top of the screen, as you can see, and we'll do a little mention to him before the drivers actually start the race as well, just to pay that extra tribute to a great man in the real world F1. So here we are in Q1. 12 minutes are remaining, and all the drivers, interestingly enough, out on the Ultrasoft. 3 choices of tyre for today. We have the Ultrasoft, which is the purple wall tyre, the Soft, which is the yellow wall tyre, and the Medium, which is the white wall tyre. Now, according to stats, and the Ultrasoft will go around about 16 laps, although I suspect it'll probably go longer than that, probably around about 20 laps. The Soft will go 33, and again I suspect that's probably going to be a bit longer, and the Medium will go 43 laps. So with that in mind, it's going to be interesting to see what the drivers actually do with regards to their tyre choice for the race. Now, we're just going to go through the running. Now, from these drivers, obviously 2 have already disqualified themselves, so they'll be starting at the back of the pack, which is Williams, Kevin Van Delft and Stan Drumkov. Hans van der Berg in the McLaren has set the provisional fastest time with a 1:32.009. Rob Muldering in the Sauber has set a 1:32.125. Boy Williamson in the Mercedes has set a 1:32.246. Marcel Dronig in the Haas, 1:32.28. Marco Pullen in the Force India, 1:32.525. John Donkel, that we were watching there in a Renault, with a 1:32.862. Martin Parder-Cooper, who's out on track at the moment in the Ferrari, 1:32.996. And Miguel Torni in the Red Bull, a 1:33.844. We are going to be dropping 5, or in this case 3 drivers from this queue, so only half the drivers are set times, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Mark Stapper's just about to go out. Damie Hartman out on track at the moment in the Ferrari, so let's stay with Damie and see what he's doing. So
Damie Hartman,
yeah,
sorry Eddie, Damie Hartman's on a really fast first sector, I have to say, quite considerably faster than Hans van der Berg on the 32.0. He's just gone purple in sector 2 as well, again by some way.
Well, this is going to be interesting. He's now on the final straight, coming down to the final set of corners, coming down to turn 14. Obviously at the end of the first DRS, and then as they get on the start-finish straight, that's the second DRS out of turn, the final turn 16. So let's see what Damie can do in that Ferrari. He comes around the final corner now, onto the start-finish straight, crosses the second DRS point there, and does a 1:31.927. Whoa! So he's taken about a 10th out of Hans van der Berg's time there. So not too bad at all, not too shabby.
Yeah, I think he's probably got a bit more to give as well, because he was definitely more than a 10th up by the end of sector 2. I think he lost some time in sector 3. It's not a great sector actually, that sector. So yeah, expect more from him later on.
Indeed, we certainly will. It's going to be very interesting. I mean, we've had a great start, it has to be said, to the season so far, and certainly the change in the teams and the drivers has made, I think, quite a difference, really, hasn't it, this year?
Yeah, it's mixed it up. It's mixed it up quite a lot. I mean, we saw Ferrari absolutely dominant last season. Both their drivers finishing first and second in the championship. But yeah, there seems to be much more of a mix between the drivers now, or between the teams. Yeah, a little bit more even. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting and exciting constructors' championship, certainly.
Indeed. Well, only 2 races completed so far, but Rob Mouldering is heading the championship board in first place with 43 points. Nicky Visser in the Mercedes is second on 27, and equal to him is the new rookie driver Hans van der Berg in the McLaren. Third, or fourth in this instance, is Seb Bogart in the Haas, and fifth is Damie Hartman in the Ferrari. So a bit unusual to see Seb Bogart down there with the 25 points. Obviously that was from last week, but yeah, it certainly has mixed it up, it has to be said.
Yeah, it's good that you mentioned Seb Bogart. Actually, he's just gone fastest in the first sector, so expect him to be easily through in this qualifying session. But yeah, it's quite unusual to see him sort of not, I wouldn't say far down in the championship, but he's not leading the championship due to his sort of unlikely retirement actually in Australia. Fastest in sector 2 as well.
Well, he's coming down the DRS straight between 13 and 14, coming down to turn 14 now. Now this is where you can lose a lot of time. You've got to really hit that apex on the exit and hit that turn 15 nice and clean as well. Nicely done there. How does he do? Let's have a look. Oh, look at that, top of the board, 1:31.065, so 9/10 faster almost than Damie Hartman in the Ferrari, who's currently in P2 for this queue.
Yeah, 5 of those temps were gained in the final sector alone. Just FYI.
My goodness. Wow, that is flying. Well, he certainly took those final 3 turns, 14, 15 and 16, very nicely, it has to be said.
Yeah, really great lap. His former teammate Baz de Bruyne actually is out on a hot lap at the moment, looking fast, not quite as fast as Seb. But yeah, he's definitely going to be top 4 with this pace. Just gone faster than sector 2 actually, de Bruyne.
Yeah, and just to confirm, the drivers are indeed all racing with black helmets for this race as a mark of respect to Mr. Charlie Whiting. So great tip of the hat there from the F1 tonight, guys, I think.
Yeah, certainly. It's good to show their respect. I mean, they do have a lot of respect for Charlie, as do as do all of the personnel in F1. And de Bruyne almost lost it there, actually. I just saw that.
He did. He almost lost it on that exit of turn 15. I think laying down the power there, but he's gone fastest, or second fastest, with a 1:31.576, so 4/10 out of Damie Hartman's time. And looks like Seb Bogart and Baz de Bruyne, the former Ferrari drivers and multiple champions and winners in F1 tonight, are laying down the law, it looks like here.
Yeah, certainly they want to just stamping their authority on this qualifying session. Interestingly, de Bruyne's time is half a second slower than Seb's, and he lost all of that half a second in on that corner. So it would have been pretty much even at 31.0 was expected.
Yeah, he certainly fluffed it on the exit of 15, it has to be said, and that's where he can make up the time. Now, in the drop zone at this moment, we have John Muss in the McLaren, Nicky Visser in the Mercedes, still to set a time, and Marcel France as well in the Red Bull. Oh, they're not actually in the session, that's why they're not coming out, so they may be late to the session. They're not the drivers we were expecting to be late to the session, funnily enough. The drivers who were expecting to be late are actually here. So Nicky Visser in the Mercedes and Marcel France in the Red Bull will be missing out unless they come in last knockings of this queue, but I very much doubt it, so they will be starting at the back. So only one driver effectively will be coming out, and at the moment that's John Muss in the McLaren. What do you think? I mean, do you think John can improve on this time at all? He is a new driver. Obviously, his teammate, the other rookie driver, Hans van der Berg, has really stamped his mark already on this championship. But John Muss still sort of feeling his way through, really, isn't he?
Yeah, he's yeah, as I said, he's just sort of getting a feel for the car, for the tracks. It's all very well, you know, racing in single player in your career mode, but even in other leagues, in fact. But until you actually race with a league sort of regularly, yeah, you don't quite know how you're gonna sort of fare against them. But yeah, I think slowly but surely he is improving with each race. I think he'll just be determined to finish this race. I don't think he'll set his targets too high.
We've seen that determination from him, certainly in Australia and Bahrain. I mean, he was lapped twice, I think, last week in Bahrain, but still kept going. So fair play. That is the way to play the game. And the other thing to mention as well is obviously this is a full race distance league. And I'm still yet to come across, although I haven't been searching very deeply, but I'm still yet to come across another league that does full race distance.
Yeah, I'm not aware of one myself, and yeah, I quite enjoy watching 100% races. Don't know if I'd enjoy so much actually participating in 100% races, but
yeah, it's a little bit different there, to say the least. So John Muss needs to try and take out, at the very least, 4 odd seconds, and he's not going to do it by going over the dirt or indeed into the gravel. Oh,
and he's lost his wheel.
Out. He's lost his wheel. So John Muss loses the front right, goes onto the dirt there, and then coming back onto the track with the dirty wheels, couldn't get the grip and went into the barrier there on the right hand side. And I think that's turn 4 by looks of it, just coming out 3 to 4. So that's a shame. That's sector 1 there. John Muss is out. So just over a minute and a half remaining of this session. So drivers all through. You might see a few more drivers come out. In fact, I think Zander Hermans, or I saw one of the, I think it was the Toro Rosso there. Let's have a quick look. I think that was Miguel Torni. Yeah, Miguel Torni just come out. Peter Phillips is coming in.
He's just coming in. Marcel Dronig in the Haas, he just set his personal best first and second sectors, and then decided to come into the pit. I don't know whether he's just sort of
maybe because he realised that John Muss was out, and don't know.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, possibly.
Could well have been that.
Guido Erschein faster than his best in the first sector. He's looking to improve from P10. I mean, this is just for pride, as you say, because they are through.
Indeed.
Again, improvement sector 2. Although 4 tenths down on his previous sector 2 time, he's still up overall on his lap.
Yeah, I think the driver's just sort of winding up for this session now and getting ready to go into Q2. So Seb Bogart leads the way in Q1 with a 1:31.0. Second, Bastabreen in the Renault, 1:31.5. Third, Damie Hartman in the Ferrari, 1:39.9. Sorry, 1:31.9. Hans van der Berg in the McLaren, fourth with a 1:32.0. Rob Muldering in the Sauber with a 1:32.1. Boy Williamson in the Mercedes, 1:32.2. Marcel Dronig in the Haas, 1:32.28. So just a little bit out from Boy Williamson there. Guido Erschein in the Force India, still out on track. He's done a 1:32.444 at this moment in time.
Yeah, just leapfrogged his teammate.
Yeah, he has. Marco Pullen is in ninth with 1:32.525. So only a tenth, just under a tenth there between them. Mark Stappers in the Sauber, 1:32.5. Zander Hermans in the Toro Rosso there, 1:32.6. John Donkel in the Renault 132.8. Martin Parder-Cooper in the Ferrari was P13 there. So not looking too bad at all at this moment in time. So the drivers readying up for Q2. Now this is the one that counts. From the 15 drivers, we will go down to 10. So we will be dropping 5 drivers. Remember, those 10 drivers that go through will have to start the race on the tyre which they set their lap on. So this is when it starts to get interesting and strategy comes into play. I don't know, but I'm thinking we're probably going to see... I don't know, it's so difficult to call, but I mean ultra softs and then going on to mediums, or mediums then on to the ultra softs. I don't know if the softs are going to play too much in this race today or not.
Yeah, they might not. I mean, personally, I do prefer the medium tyre actually on this track, which is a bit unusual for me. I normally can't stand the medium tyre on any circuit, but it is quite nice on this circuit here. We might see some of the drivers use it. I wouldn't. I mean, absolutely not put it past them.
Well, we will certainly see for this Q what happens, and whether the drivers indeed will be going. And at the moment, everyone's still on the ultra softs, so they're in the pits at this moment. They could well change, but at the moment, everyone is on ultra softs. So the final 15 drivers there, getting ready. Oh, yeah, I can see a number of drivers going on to the softs. So the softs will come into play. So maybe we might be looking at soft, ultra softs. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one. But I'm surprised because medium is, as you quite rightly say, the quite tyre for this. So looks like the Force India and Marco Pullen is the first man out. So we'll stay with Marco and we'll follow him on his fast lap and get an idea of this track. It's a tricky track, but it's that sector 1 that you've got to watch, isn't it? Coming round turns 1, 2, 3 and 4, the what I call the coracle, or the snail, really, the shape of it. It is a snail's pace as well, especially when you're going around turn 3 and 2, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It can be very sort of difficult for drivers. I mean, especially new drivers to get right, because it's one of those. It's quite a rare thing in F1 to have a corner where you're actually slowing down during the turn. The braking zone is actually sort of around the turn, although you don't necessarily brake within the corner itself. You'd normally sort of lift off and coast around. That's the way I do it, at least.
Yeah, low it and go through the gears, really, don't you?
Yeah, that's it. A bit of engine braking, but it's really difficult to get right that first right-hand bend. The rest of it from then on is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the tricky one again, I've got to say, is turn 11 and going round that again sort of crescent round 12 and 13. That can be a bit tricky if you go off the line, especially on the exit of 13. You've got to watch that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just remind me, turn 13, is that the banked corner?
Yeah, basically before you get onto the straight. So we'll get on board now with Marco Pullen. So this is turn 1, the right-hander, and it leads into turn 2. Again, the right-hander, so you're almost, well, you are basically coming back on yourself. Then you've got the left, turn 3, back round again, come round into turn 4, get on a little bit of a straight. You've got the kink right here of turn 5. Then you come down to the hairpin of turn 6. I've got to say, I love this turn, especially the exit. It's great when you get it right. Then you're coming around turn 7, high speed turn, but you still got to be careful not to lose traction as you're coming round down to 8, round to the right hand side. So a lot of S corners here. Then round turn 9 to the left, get on the right side, hit that apex on the left, round turn 10. Then you've got a little bit of a straight run before you come down to turn 11. That's a hard right. You go uphill now, round turn 12 to the right, and this is where it's banked, round 12, coming round 13. This is where you've got to watch it, round here. Get yourself lined up, get on that straight now. Now you're on the straight, and you're coming to the first DRS point on that straight. That's where you're really building up speed. And you're coming down now, approaching turn 14, which is the hairpin. And then you've got turn 15 on the exit of this hairpin. So that's 14, and there's 15 now. Getting ready for the final turn left on 16. Build the power up over the DRS, second DRS, over the start-finish line. And unfortunately, Marco not setting a time there, but Martin Cooper in the Ferrari does with a 134.5. Guido Airshine with a 133.9. Zander Hermans 133.9 as well, so not a bad show from there. Hans van der Berg 133.5. So not quite what he was hoping for, I think. He was probably expected to go a little bit faster than that, wasn't he?
Yeah, just
Yeah, but he's on the soft.
That is true. Miguel Torni's on quite a fast lap as well. He went, well, he was fastest in sector 2. He was beaten actually by Hans van der Berg in that sector. Still a good lap though. I think he's going to be, well, P3 or 4 might be a little bit optimistic for this time.
Let's have a look. Miguel Torni coming over the line.
Oh, he didn't set that one. That's
unfortunately. Invalidated it.
Strange, but didn't show as invalidated on my telemetry.
It's so tricky though. These turns 2 and 3, they really, that's probably the trickiest part. Well, it is definitely the trickiest part of the track. Turns 2, 3 and 4, it has to be said.
Yeah, and it's quite a difficult section, a bit like turn 1 actually.
Yeah, so there we go. Now, a bit of a mix there. Now, the interesting one there I'm looking at is those guys on the softs in the top 3. I mean, I was looking at something, oh, they're not quite as fast there, but then again, on the soft tyres, I think that's quite impressive, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not too bad a time. I mean, the difference between the soft and the ultras, there's about 3/4 of a second on this track.
Wow, and Zander Herman setting provisional fastest, sorry, with a 132.9.
That is a really good time for the softs. I think that will be beaten though by John Donkel actually in the
Hans van der Berg has just beaten it. Sorry, he did a 133.2, and Hans van der Berg has done the 132.9. So I do apologise. And again, that is on the softs. Zander Hermans actually was on the ultra soft, so that's why I quickly saw that there, and I made a little bit of a technical error. But yeah, I mean, Van der Berg again. It's like John Dongle. Looks at this. Set the provisional fastest here with 131.5. He is on the ultra softs, though, it has to be said, and the other runners on the softs. So, majority of drivers have gone for the soft option. Basta Breen still in the pits. Seb Bogart still in the pits. Marcel Dronig is out on track.
Regardless of the tyre choice, that is a respectable time there, 31.5 from John.
Oh yeah, definitely a respectable time, without any doubt. So I'm just trying to figure out what these guys are looking at. I mean, Ultrasoft, it's going to have to be obviously Ultrasoft start for these guys that are on the Ultrasoft, because that's the tyre that are going to need to start on anyway. But I think they're more likely to go ultra soft medium. Those guys starting on the ultra softs. The guys on the softs, I don't know. Are they looking at two stop? Because one stop is certainly doable here.
I don't know, to be honest. I'm trying to work out what I would do. I'd probably go for the ultra to medium stint myself. I've
got to say that would be my preferred option. Although that said, yeah, I suppose it depends where you come in on the start, but either ultra soft medium or medium ultra soft, depending upon where you are on the grid, really.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Traffic can make all the difference to your strategy.
So we're on board with Marcel Dronig at this time, just seeing if he can better that. Remember, the drop zone is the top 5, so at the moment that has been set by Miguel Torni with a 134.1. We've still got Rob Muldering, Mark Stappers, Peter Phillips and Basta Breen. I certainly expect Rob Muldering to go faster, and Basta Breen, so I'm thinking that drop zone could actually drop right down to probably Guido Airshine's time of a 133.9 actually.
Yeah, it could. you might not be too far off there. So I'm just looking back at the actual strategies employed. It's a little bit skewed actually because it rained at some point. Well, it looked like it was going to rain. Nobody actually used the intermediate tyre. Yeah, so it's a little bit skewed. The majority of the field did actually do a two-stop though, starting on the ultras and going to the mediums and then changing to the soft tyres. But I think a safety car was the main cause of that.
Well, yeah, that certainly would make the difference with regards to that. I'm just going to have a quick look here and see if I can get some sort of equivalent with the real world time. Q1, fastest time was actually set by Seb Vettel in the Ferrari with a 1:32.1. Q2 was Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes in the real world with a 1:31.914. So that was the Q2 time for Hamilton in the real world 2018 Shanghai GP. And indeed, we're starting to get a little bit. Droning now is that 1:34.155, so he's sitting in P10 at this moment in time. Rob Mouldering though and Bas de Breen still. Oh, Rob Mouldering is actually out on track, as is Bas de Breen.
They're both on laps at the moment. Mouldering's lap is looking good on that soft tyre. I think he's going to be second row. Well, second row in Q2 anyway.
He's coming out of 13 now, down towards 14. Nice rear view at the moment on that car. Seldom get the rear view.
Sorry, Hartman's just gone fastest in the first sector as well. He's looking to improve his time. He's probably feeling a little bit anxious, being P7. Obviously, only top set to P8 now. Only the top 10 go through. Who's just gone faster? That's Peter Phillips. Peter Phillips actually P4 at the moment, 32.9 on the ultra soft tyres. Good time from him. Matched.
Wow, John Donkel maintains that fastest time, but Rob Mouldering goes in P2 to 1:32.7 on that soft, and that is very respectable, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's a good time. That
and Bas de Breen just benches it, even more respectable, 1:32.5. But that is on the ultra soft, so 1 second off John Donkel's time. But Renault leading at this moment in time, and then Davey Hartman's jumped in now with a 1:32.242 in the Ferrari.
I think we're beginning to see now how quick John Donkel's time was on that ultra soft tyre. He's still a considerable margin. De Breen's actually purple in sector 1 though. He's looking to do a second hot lap. Not happy with his first one. I don't quite know why. He surely threw on that time.
Yeah, he's just wanting to make sure. I think he's trying to do a Renault front row lockout by the looks of it.
Well, this is only Q2.
Well, that's true. That is a very fair point, actually. He's coming around 13 now.
Yeah, he's purple sector 2 as well. He's surely just eating into these tyres.
Yeah, because I mean, again, these ultra softs. I mean, their projected laps are 16. I mean, I would expect them to go sort of probably around about 20, but race 16 is probably going to be round about right. Oh, completely fluffs it on the exit there of 14. Gets completely out of pace, but going for another lap.
Yeah, there we go. Look at that.
But
look at that margin between.
14.
Look at that margin between De Breen and Donkel though. One thousandth of a second.
1/1000th. But he would have been faster. He would have been faster if he hadn't mucked up. I'm surprised that time, considering he fluffed turn 14, and he's got some dirt on his tyres now as he went off track there to let the other driver through. So that's very interesting. So Guido Airshine, well, I was a little bit out there. That 1:33.9 has actually put him in P12, and P10 at this moment in time is 1:32.9. So actually a full 2 seconds difference. So Guido Airshine is going to have to pull it out here, as is Boy Williamson, Marco Pullen, Marcel Dronig and Miguel Torni, because these times have really dropped now, haven't they?
Yeah, it's really come down. I think the track is sort of very green. There's lots of rubber on the track, and the Renault's certainly making use of that.
Yeah, most definitely. They certainly are. And it's quite impressive. So Boy Williamson at this moment is sitting in P11 in the drop zone. What can he do? Will he be able to better that time and show some good pace? It has to be said, but not necessarily in qualifying. He's got better race pace, really, hasn't he?
Yeah, Boyd does tend to do better in the races than in qualifying. It's just whether he can get a nice sort of clean run, make the strategy work, and and possibly utilise a few undercuts along the way. I'm sure he will make up ground, regardless of where he starts.
Yeah, I would certainly expect him to do so. He's a good, solid driver, and certainly a good team as well. Unfortunately, his teammate isn't in as yet. Hopefully, he will be joining before the end of the race, and that's Nicky Visser, because he's second in the championship. And Nicky, he did fantastically well in season 4, it has to be said, and he's doing equally as well so far in the start of this season 5, albeit we've only had 2 races, this being the 3rd, but he's got off to a good start, hasn't he?
Yeah, really good start from the man. Hasn't had the best of.
And Boy Williamson goes up to P3 with a 1:32.2. So far better there from Boy Williamson, it has to be said. Now that's put Hans van der Berg in the drop zone, and the first time we've had that happen.
It is, yeah. I just saw a Red Bull spinning. I don't know whether that was an AI controlled Red Bull or whether it was Peter Phillips. Not Peter Phillips. Tawny. It was Tawny.
Miguel Tawny. Yeah, Miguel Tawny. Yeah. Hans van der Berg now is what he's got to make it count here. What can he do?
He's purple sector 2.
Yeah, he goes P3 with a 1:31.6. So that's looking good. And at this moment in time, in that drop zone, Mark Stappers is coming round. Marco Pullen, Marcel Dronig's in the pits. Marco Pullen's in the pits. So Mark Stappers is the only man that can better and see if he can get into Q3.
Stappers has improved both first and second sectors. I think he's going to do it. Miguel Tawny will not go through.
He's coming round 13 onto the straight now. So he's the only man that can at the moment, and if he does, he's only 1/10 off Miguel Tawny's time, and if you can take that 1/10 out, well, it's actually less than a tenth. I think it's actually half a tenth, so 500. So if he can better that time, he's got to do is by 1/10. He will get through, and he'll drop Miguel Tawny in the Toro Rosso into the drop zone and out of Q2, and he does. Look at that, lovely job there. So Mark Stappers gets through provisional P8 in Q2. Now Miguel Tawny in the Red Bull. So I think Miguel's going to be a little bit disappointed with that.
Yeah, it will be. As I said, he sort of spun in I think it was the first or second corner. I don't know whether that was to do with the AI drivers that he had around him. Unfortunately, he was in a little bit of traffic as they just finished their laps. I think he might have had to dodge them, and it might have put him off his stride a little bit. It's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, it's very possible. So in Q2, we do have a front low lockout, but yet to be transferred into Q3 and the final race. Bas de Breen heading the leaderboard there in Q2 with a 1:31.575, and his teammate John Donkel a 1:31.576. So that's amazing, isn't it? 1,000th of a second between the teammates there. That is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and you got to say much credit to John Donkel as well. And I don't think he's frequently been as fast as the second fastest driver of last season.
No, that is very true indeed. So there we have our top 10 going through to Q3. In the drop zone, starting P11 will be Miguel Tawny in the Red Bull, P12 Peter Phillips in the Toro Rosso, P13 Marco Pullen in the Force India, 14 Marcel Dronig, row 7 in the Haas. Row 8 is Guido Ershine, P15 in the Force India. It's not going to be a great day, I think, for Force India. I don't think they're very happy with this track. They're not China I know during
No,
practice he hasn't been having a great practice this week.
yeah, no, it doesn't look like they've got the car sort of quite right. Yeah, it's a shame to see Shine back back in P15. I'm sure he'll give us an entertaining race nonetheless.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will.
He normally does. It's early days in this Q3 session at the moment, but have you got a favourite for pole position?
I'm actually going to go with Bastabri.
Yeah,
I'm
that's a
leaving
good
the door
call.
open for you.
That's a good call. I mean, I was looking at both the Renaults actually, both on exactly the same time. Seb Bogard as well. He was only 7/10 slower than the other two drivers on the soft tyre. And as I said, there's about 3/4 of a second difference between the two tyres. So, you know, retrospectively, he is on equal pace with those, if not slightly faster. Hans Vanderberg as well. He was up in the mix as well, wasn't he? A 31.6. I think Hans is going to win the race. Hans is going to get pole and win this race.
Well, I think it's not a bad shout, to be fair. I'm just trying to see who's actually leading the outlaps. I think it is Seb Bogart in the Haas.
Yeah, it looks like Bogart first out.
Yeah, so we'll follow him. He should be the first man to set a lap. He's just on his outlap at this moment in time. To be fair, I think there's a few that could certainly jump in there. Hans Vanderberg, certainly. Rob Mouldering, certainly. John Donkel, Bastabreen, even Damie Hartman. So I think there's potentially, 5 drivers there that have the capability to get in that P1 or certainly in the front row. So it's going to be interesting to see how that actually pans out. From previous Q pace, obviously, though, you've got to go with Renault, really, haven't you?
Yeah, you have to say that they're favourites for possibly a double podium here, if both drivers can keep their races, their cars intact.
The thing is going to be what the strategy is going to actually play out, because obviously we've seen a number of drivers on ultra softs, so they're clearly going to be starting to pull away from the pack. The rest are on softs. So yeah, I'm going to be very, very curious on the strategy on this one, because I would expect a 1 stop, but it looks to me as if there are a few that are planning 2 stops.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right. It's very, very difficult to call, actually. Yeah, you've got lots of drivers, lots of fast names in there. Rob Mouldering can score, of course, as well. Yeah, he is. He won the opening race, didn't he, in Australia? With his epic strategy. He may do the same here with a good strategy call. Yeah, I totally overlooked him, to be fair.
Yeah, he hasn't quite shown the pace, I think, in he certainly has the ability. So let's see what Seb Bogart opens up with. And he's got Martin Pardercooper on his hip. So that's a 1:39.28.
He's under 1:31. That's stronger of a lap.
So he is. Look at that. 1:32.9. John Donkel 1:32.2. Hans Vanderberg 1:31.6.
It's the same time he's set in Q2.
Yeah. Rob Mouldering 1:31.1. So that is very close indeed to Seb's time. Martin Pardercooper in a Ferrari 1:32.548. So respectable, very respectable time there from Martin Pardercooper. Strappers is in the pits. De Breen is in the pits. Boy Williamson's on his outlap. So that leaves us with Damie Hartman in the second Ferrari.
Yeah, Hartman looking fast, but not faster than the drivers at the front. Rob Mouldering, actually, he was 2/10 of a second faster than Bogard in the final sector.
Wow.
4 tenths behind him before
really
that. And then
sectors 1 and 2, where you can clean it up and maybe get a faster time. We're on board with Damie Hartman at the moment.
Looking like a 4th place time at the moment.
Yeah, So he's looking around about a 132, mid 132. The exit on 15, certainly.
31.7, I think I'm going to call.
Ooh, 131.6.
No, 31.6.
Well, you're only 1/10 out. I'll give you that one, Adrian. You just get one smarty instead of two.
That'll do.
Yeah, you know, don't be greedy now. So, at this moment in time, front row, we have Seb Bogart, alongside him, Rob Mouldering. Second row, Damie Hartman, alongside him, Hans van der Berg. Third row, John Donkel at the moment, but obviously still 6 minutes remaining of this session. Everybody, obviously, is out on the Ultra Softs, as expected. That's why I'm not bothering to put up the tyre selection, because as we know, it's always going to be the fastest tyre in Q3. Now, Boy Williamson now is the next man that should be setting a time. He's just come out of 13 onto the straight, leading down to 14 over the DRS mark.
This is good pace from the Mercedes driver. He's looking like he's going to be in the mix for sort of P3-4.
Clean exit round 14 and 15. It's not looking too shabby at this moment in time. 132.1, so that puts him in the third row. John Donkel in the pits. Bas de Breen still in the pits. I mean, I love Bas. He does like to leave it until the last knockings, but I suppose there's a lot of sense in that, really. But equally, I don't know. Yeah, I suppose there is, because the track is obviously going to be improving all the while, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. I think Bas de Breen, I think he's probably quite a good poker player. Keeps his cards to his chest until sort of late on in the showdown.
Mark Stapper's still to set a time, so he needs to get a move on that. We've got 5 minutes remaining of this session, and yeah, who did you call for pole? Was it Rob Mulberry, wasn't it?
No, I've called Hans van der Berg.
Hans van der Berg, he's sitting in 4th. Michael hasn't even set a time yet, and we're starting to get a bit wobbly.
That time from that opening lap we saw from Seb Bogart, I don't think many drivers are really going to get close to that. It looks like Mouldering probably got the potential.
I disagree, because we've got a lot of drivers. I mean, Damie Hartman, Hans van der Berg, they're sitting in the mid 131s, and I think they are capable, as the track improves, of getting into that 130. And remember, it is high 130, so 139. So I do think that will be beaten, and I think it'll be beaten by at least a couple of drivers. So we'll see. That time will be beaten. Whether Seb Bogart will be beaten is another question, but I think that time will be beaten.
Okay, fair enough. Damie Hartman's about to finish his lap. He is looking faster, although he's a bit slow in the first sector.
I'm on board at the moment with Stappers. Just want to see what he's going to do.
It's not an improvement.
131.8, so not a bad run there from Stappers. That puts him in the third row.
Fair play, he'll be happy with that.
Yeah, I think he will
be happy with that time.
And De Breen's still in the pits with 3.5 minutes remaining. He's going to have to come out soon, surely.
I'm just seeing if the
I'm just watching his pit box at the moment, waiting for him to come out. And yeah, he's
not
coming
interested,
out.
Is he?
Yeah,
oh, there we go.
He's coming out. Oh no, that was the Mercedes coming out. Sorry, I do apologise. Boy Williamson coming out, and Bas de Breen still not out. So it's interesting. What's happening there, I wonder?
Oh, he just likes to build the tension, doesn't he? He's such a showman.
Yeah, but he's only got a certain amount of time. It's like it's under 3 minutes now. So, only Damie Hartman, Seb Bogart, Mark Stappers, and Boy Williamson are out on track at this moment in time. Boy is on his out lap. Bas de Breen still in the pits. I'm very curious to know what on earth he's going to do.
Maybe he's locked himself in the toilet.
Maybe he has. Who knows? He could have a technical issue, obviously, which would be a great
He
shame
could do.
if he has. It looks like one of the Ferraris is getting ready to come out. Oh, no, that's coming in, actually. So that's the Ferrari coming in there. I think Martin Paardekoper. Mark Stappers is in. Hans van der Berg still out on track. Damie Hartman out on track. Rob Mouldering, 2 minutes remaining. And I think I'm going to have to eat my words, Adrian, because nobody is pushing that time of Seb Bogart that he set right at the beginning.
Yeah, it's the very first lap set in this session, and yeah, it's the first time. Actually, Bogart's improved it, hasn't he? He's on 30. He's done a 30.4.
He has
was
improved
on a
it.
30.9.
He's taken 5/10 out of that time because he was on a 1:39. So he's now on a 1:34.
So you were right. You were right.
I was right. It was going to be improved, but not quite by what I expected. And Bastabreen just isn't coming out. He hasn't got time now. Surely he's run out of time.
No,
that's it.
That'll be it. I have to feel it's probably a technical issue then, which is a bit unfortunate. I'm trying to find out what has happened to him.
Was he running on the softs in Q2? Oh, he was on the ultra softs.
Oh, Bastabreen connection issues has been reported 4 minutes ago.
Right, okay, so connection issues there, unfortunately, for Bastabreen, which is why he hasn't come out. So it looks like this is what we're going to see, and totally unexpected from what we called. We've got Seb Bogart in the Haas in P1, Rob Mouldering in the Sauber P2, front row, second row, Damie Hartman in the Ferrari. Alongside him, Hans van der Berg in the McLaren. Row 3, Mark Stappers in the Sauber. Alongside him will be Boy Williamson in the Mercedes. Row 4 will be John Donkel in the Renault. Alongside him, Martin Paardekoper in the Ferrari. And row 5 will be Zander Hermans in the Toro Rosso. Good show from Zander Hermans, it has to be said, but we've seen this before. He does deliver when it comes to Qs. He's just got to try and get that to deliver on the races. But he had a fantastic race last week, didn't he, in Bahrain? Came in P5. Was it P5, P6?
Yeah, P6. Yeah.
He did well. He was Royalty Driver of the Day because he went up 12 places from where he started. So great show from him. So let's keep an eye on him. This is, I think, an up-and-coming driver there in the Toro Rosso.
Yeah, he's definitely one to watch. I think he started P19. I think he finished P7 in the end. There were a few penalties and things. I think that's yeah. I mean, it was one of his better races, and yeah, he was. And we saw it at Abu Dhabi, didn't we? He was battling Bastabreen on track, but he was being a little bit too tentative, a bit too, I don't know, respectful, I think. And yeah, we didn't really see that in the. I mean, he's a really respectful driver, of course, but we didn't see him sort of backing off as much in Bahrain. And yeah, and credit to him, he managed to get driver of the day as a result. So hopefully that can translate over to this race as well.
Let's hope that. So there we have it. Session is now done, and we're just going to pause. We're just going to pause the broadcast for a couple of seconds while we just get something set up before we start the race. So bear with us just for a couple of seconds. We're going to pause and then we'll come back. Give us about 30 seconds. So the drivers are now on their processional lap, underway. I don't know if that worked. It was a little bit unrehearsed. So let's run through the runnings now of the drivers. So P1, Seb Bogart in the Haas. P2, Hans van der Berg. Hans van der Berg? How did he get up to P2?
Yeah, just confirming now. It's, I think it was P2, wasn't it? I did take a screenshot of the
Oh, I must have missed it.
Q3 standings.
I didn't realise he got up to there. So Hans van der Berg starts in second place, P2. Yes, he was, sorry, yeah. Rob Moldering in the Sauber was P3, row 2. Damie Hartman, P4 in the Ferrari. Row 3, Boy Williamson in the Mercedes, alongside him, Mark Stappers in the Sauber. Row 4 will be John Donkel in the Renault, alongside him, Martin Parder-Cooper in the Ferrari. Row 5 will be Zander Hermans in the Toro Rosso, alongside him, Bas de Breen in the Renault. Miguel Torney is P11, row 6 in the Red Bull Toro Rosso. Peter Phillips will be alongside him. Row 7, Marco Pullen alongside him, Marcel Dronig in the Haas. Row 8 will be Guido Airshine in the Force India, alongside him, John Muss in McLaren. Row 9, Marcel France alongside him, Kevin Van Delft in the Williams. Bringing up final, row 10 will be Stan Drumkov in the Williams. No Nicky Visser with us this evening, unfortunately, so that's a little bit unexpected. We were expecting Nicky Visser to be with us this evening, but he is not. So we have no Nicky Visser for Mercedes, no points for him tonight then.
No, yeah, it's a bit of a shame that. Yeah, I was expecting him to be attending this race and be up there in the mix for the you know, for a podium at least here.
Well, Seb Bogart is on the softs. Drivers now lining up for the start of this race. Final driver Stan Drumkov getting into his box now, and this would have been the time that Charlie Whiting would have come into play, but unfortunately he's not there this evening. But we will pay tribute to him. The lights are on and they are off for the start of this F1 tonight. China Grand Prix. Hans van der Berg immediately jumps into first place. Rob Moldering goes in the second. Seb Bogart's dropped down to 3. Boy Williamson, Damie Hartman fighting out for 4 and 5 as they come round turn 2. Oh, what a dreadful start from Seb Bogart, has to be said.
Oh dear.
He's lost 3 places already. Look at this.
Three places. 3 places and part of his wing as well. He's just gone into the back of
by the
Moldering.
looks of it, he has lost some front wing, front right by the looks of it.
Yep.
So he's going to have to come in. He's overtaking now Rob Moldering. But can he make it stick? Oh dear, what a dreadful start there for Seb Bogart. But Hans van der Berg straight up. Damie Hartman up 2 places from 4. He's into second place. Hans van der Berg is leading the way at this moment in time. Seb Bogart has got up to 3, but he's going to have to pit with that damage that he's got. Trying to see how much damage he's actually got on there. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. I'm just looking at it now. I thought he did have right wing damage, but just watching him now as he's coming round.
Moldering with the move.
Has no damage to that front wing. Oh, contact there.
Only wheel to wheel. He's pushed him off.
Rob Moldering's wheel to wheel, definitely, as they're coming round 12 and 13. That is really hard fighting between them. Boy Williamson is just in the mix as well there. Look at this.
Yeah. Moldering down to P6 now.
Overtaking Boy Williamson as they're coming down to 14. Will he make it stick? Can he make it stick? Oh, look at this. And Bas de Breen going really wide into 14, trying to get the turn and get the advantage there on Mark Stappers and Rob Moldering. Doesn't quite work out for him. Fastest lap, Hans van der Berg on the opening lap, 1:39.9. Wow, what a result this has been so far. That was close.
Yeah.
Hans van der Berg takes first place, jumps up 1 place. Damie Hartman jumps up 2 from 4 into second. Seb Bogart drops down 2 to 3. John Donkel's now overtaken Boy Williamson as they're coming round turns 2 and 3. Can he make it stick? Can he make it stick? Yes, he does. Comes round 4. He's ahead of that Mercedes of Boy Williamson at this moment in time. Rob Moldering is very, very close in behind, as is Mark Stappers. So really close there for the Saubers behind. Basterbreen is bringing up P8 at the moment. He has jumped up 2 places. Peter Phillips up 3. Guido Airshine up 5. Kevin Van Delft up 7. Losers, Zander Hermans down 3. Miguel Torney down 2. Marco Pullen down 1. Marcel Francis up 2. But Martin Paardekooper, what a disaster start for him. 9 places down. Marcel Joning, I think that might have been the damage that we saw was on Martin Paardekooper.
Yeah, I think it might well have been. We saw 3 drivers coming to pit actually, Paardekooper, Dronig and Sam Drunkov as well. Yeah, not a great start for either for any of those 3.
No, yeah, definitely Martin Paardekooper, Marcel Droning, Stan Drumkov, they're the ones that suffered, certainly. So, Ultrasofts are winning out at this moment in time, and that's where Seb Bogart lost out, wasn't it?
It was. Sorry, Pullen just made a double overtake around the banked corner, just overtaken Miguel Torney and Sander Herman as well, who actually is disconnected. No, he's back in it. He's back in it. He was disconnected at the time of the overtake.
So Marco Pullen does a double overtake around turn 12. John Donkel's moved up to 3rd place now, and Boy Williamson's up to 4th, and clearly those Ultrasofts are paying dividends, aren't they?
Yeah, really good start from the Renault, well, from both Renault drivers actually, but they've gained 7 places collectively. 4 for John and 3 for Basterbreen. Yeah,
Seb
I think
Bogart has pitted, and that's brought him out in P15. Well, he's in the pits at the moment actually, so he definitely must have some sort of damage on there, because to take that amount of time.
I think he was trying to see if he could sort of live with the damage, and he's obviously felt that no, he can't. And he's probably made the right choice there. I couldn't see
extensive damage on that front wing, but the wing still looked there, unless he left some winglets. But it wasn't looking too bad, unless he sustained damage elsewhere around the track. Okay, so we're on lap 3 now. DRS has been activated. Will obviously come to play on the exit of turn 13. At this moment in time, Hans van der Berg is leading by 7/10. Dami Hartmann in the Ferrari, is just behind him. Then we have John Donkel. Now he's 4 seconds down the road behind him there, so a bit of a gap. He's got Boy Williamson on his tail, only 8/10 behind him. Rob Mouldering is in P5, and Mark Stappers is P6. So Dami Hartmann is getting up close and personal at this moment in time with Hans van der Berg. Can he actually
Stapper's overtaken his teammate.
This?
Sorry, Stapper's just overtaken his teammate down DRS, and there's a contact as well.
And
Basterbreen and Mouldering. Yep, Basterbreen just it was just wheel-to-wheel contact.
Oh, and he goes really wide, round 16. My goodness, a number of drivers do there, and that was Mark Stappers leading the way, round 16. Went very, very wide. And Basterbreen is looking to fight back here. He's trying to get, yes, he makes the move on Mouldering round turn 2. It's so tricky round that turn there. Mouldering on his back. He's got the Toro Rosso, the Peter Phillips on the back of him as well. But Basterbreen is slowly but surely moving up this field now. He's up to P6.
Yeah, really good stuff from, as I said, both Renault drivers. Oh, and Toro Rosso's almost gone into the back of Mouldering there. Peter Phillips just a bit late on the brakes, and they had to go wide off track. There is actually a really sharp piece of debris just stuck halfway round turn 1. I did see Rob Mouldering go sort of right over it. I think he has been okay. I don't see any damage to his tyres, so I think he's all right for now. But he did go directly over it.
So just watching Boy Williamson now. He's closing in on the back of John Donkel, but keep an eye open on Basterbreen as well, because he's closing in on Mark Stappers. But Hans van der Berg is really to pull out the lead.
Ershine spun. Sorry, P10.
Yeah, he has. Trying to get back on track, and that's around turn 1.
Yeah, it's waiting for safe release. Fair play.
Yeah, so Guido Airshine back on track there in the Force India. Lost it coming in to turn 1. But it's so easy. Oh, and he's
it's the bank.
Sorry, it's turn 12. Sorry.
Turn
12.
It was
turn
12. Yeah. Hans van der Berg in the pit.
Camera angle.
That's a bit early. Did something happen to van der Berg?
I don't know. Why did he was pushing those Ultrasofts, wasn't he? So maybe. Yep, he's going onto a set of softs. So van der Berg is into the pits, going onto a set of softs. He did certainly push him during qualification. If you recall, we were saying he was running quite long and deep with those, wasn't he?
Yeah, didn't see any wing replacements, so I think that is, just as I say, pushing the tyres to their limit.
So he's decided to go onto a set of softs now. So that'll bring him out by the looks of it in P12. Seb Bogart is behind him, a couple of seconds behind him at the moment. He's on the softs as well, slightly older, 2-lap old, but that's released Damie Hartman. And Damie not looking too bad. He's got 3.5 seconds on John Donkel, who's currently in second place. So if Damie plays his cards right, this could be a very good result for him.
Yeah, it could well be. I have to say, is pretty much advantaged Hartman at the moment. I think the battle towards the end of the race may be between Hartman and Van der Berg, depending on how this stint goes for both drivers.
Well, Marco Pullen is on the medium, so I suspect we are going to see Marco Pullen probably round about lap 16 leading this race.
Yep, he's of course the only one on the medium tyre. So
and Damie Hartman's into the pits as well.
Damie Hartman is in. Ultrasoft's not lasting very long at all, are they?
They're not. They are not lasting, or he could be responding. He could also be responding to Hans van der Berg as well.
Yeah, good call actually. Yeah, that is almost exactly what is going on. He's defending the undercut by pitting the lap after.
And it's probably not a bad shout actually. So we now
There's
have John Donkel in the Renault leading this race. And look at this, Basterbreen already up to P3. And he is really up and close with Mark Stappers. And they're coming...
I'm just going to say Williamson's got out ahead of Van der Berg. So there's a couple of cars now between Hartman and Van der Berg. This has worked in Hartman's favour beautifully, I have to say.
Well...
Van der Berg's gone off.
Look at that.
He's gone off.
No, Hans van der Berg is off and out. We can't catch that because we can't. Oh, yes, we can. Look at that. He's into the barrier there, and that is, by the looks of it, turn 5.
Yeah, turn 5 just looked like he lost the back end. I did actually manage to grab the moment of impact myself. I can have a look back at the replay and report back on
Hans van der Berg DNFs on turn 5 of lap 6. His first DNF of this season, but well, it's going to happen. So better to have it at the beginning of the season than the end of the season, I would say.
Yeah, certainly. I think I'll take some responsibility for that crash. I called him for pole position and for the race, so he didn't really have much choice.
Commentator's curse. The commentator's curse comes into play.
Sorry, Hans.
Right, well, that is going to be very interesting indeed, and I think we're going to be looking at, well, Damie Hartman is definitely got the advantage now. Hans van der Berg was his competitor there, but Damie Hartman already up to 5th place. Basterbreen is now leading this race in P1, but he's on 6-lap old Ultrasofts, and we've seen these Ultrasofts are not lasting. So, as I said, I don't think I was calling Marco Pullen to actually be leading this race around about lap 16, but I think it's going to be considerably earlier than that.
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it? With these Ultrasoft tyres just not going the distance at all. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be the next couple of laps.
I suspect you might well be right there. I mean, Basterbreen has certainly been pushing. I mean, but then again, De Bruyne is so good on his tyres. Maybe he could go a bit deeper on those Ultrasofts and... pull out a bit more of a lead. I mean, at this moment in time, let's have a look. It's got 7, 8, 11 seconds from Hartman at the moment. So if he can stay out a bit longer, eke out another 9 seconds or so, it could be very interesting indeed.
Yeah, it's definitely one to keep an eye on, isn't it? I think Hartman's probably still just about got the advantage at this point. Basterbreen's in.
De Bruyne is in. De Bruyne is in. So
Peter Phillips is going to lead a race for the first time.
Not staying out. So Peter Phillips in the Toro Rosso for the first time this season is leading a race.
Well, I think it's for the first time.
Seeing that P1 there.
Yeah, that's certainly the first time he's led a race since I started commentary way back in Hungary last season.
Yeah. And that was, Hungary season 4. So, yeah. So Peter Phillips is leading the way, but he's got Kevin van Delft bearing down on him. And let's not forget, Kevin van Delft disqualified himself and actually started in P19, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal start for the driver there in his Williams. Yeah, he's just kept out of trouble.
10 places, sorry, 16 places. He started in P18. And if we watch these guys, Peter Phillips actually started in P12, Kevin Van Delft in P18, and Marco Pullen in P13. Just goes to show those ultra softs are definitely not delivering. Well, they certainly have delivered for these guys, it's got to be said, but only 2 more to knock down before Marco Pullen leads this race, and it is going to be very interesting indeed. Now, Damien Hartman is closing in on the back of Pullen, and this is critical. He needs to make this move as soon as he possibly can, and he should be able to. He's on the soft, so he should certainly be able to get past him, shouldn't he?
Yeah, he probably will do it. Pullen's defended well with the ERS. He's actually really good on his DRS management, Pullen. No, yeah, so he's forced Damien Hartman to wait.
Back off a little bit on 14, yeah. Damien Hartman clearly wanted to make the move down to 14, but Pullen has basically cut him short on that. But he's got a second DRS now on the straight, coming up to turn 1.
He's not going to make it
right
easy.
On the back of Pullen now, he's making the move. Is he going to make it stick? Yes, he does. Yes, he does. So Damien Hartman gets past Marco Pullen, and that was quite critical. And Peter Phillips is now the only man remaining.
So Peter Phillips has led a lap, a complete lap.
So it's a question now of how long before Phillips comes in. He's 5.3 seconds ahead of Hartman at the moment. Marco Pullen, obviously on those mediums, he's not. He's going to go deep into this race, but he's now got John Donkel starting to zone in on him in the background there on the softs. And again, I don't know. I mean, surely, well, I guess these mediums won't really get into their best, and probably until the, sort of the mid-teens, really, will they?
No, no, I think you're right there. Damien Hartman's actually taken 3 seconds out of Peter Phillips on that last lap. I think the tyres don't want to be on the car much longer on that Toro, so he's going to have to come in. I think he just wanted to enjoy leading that lap. I think that might be his sole reason for staying out.
It could well be, but I think we're going to see him come in now. I'll be surprised if we don't. Yeah. Oh no, he's staying out.
No, he's staying out
for another lap.
Okay.
Well, Damien Hartman is slowly but surely eating into him now. 3.8
another 3 seconds
off the back of him.
It's another 3 seconds taken off.
And he's leaving Marco Pullen in a dust now. Marco nearly 2.5 seconds behind Damien. Was overtaken on the previous lap. John Donkel is eking in to that gap between him and Marco Pullen. And Seb Bogart is in there as well. He's 4 seconds behind John Donkel. Seb Bogart is recouping nicely, but he's got Boy Williamson right on his tail in the Mercedes. So that's going to be one to keep an eye on, I would say, between Williamson and Bogart. Donkel is now almost within
Herman's
DRS.
got a puncture. Herman's got a puncture. He's gone over that debris. He's just spun turn 1.
Yep, got it. So Sander Herman's sitting on the apex of turn 1 at this moment in time, trying to get back on the track. At least he didn't do a Grosjean there.
No, he didn't. I was just looking at his data actually. Just
and he's off again.
Oh, he spun again. Yeah, he's just
spun again. He's got dirty tyres.
Set the fastest lap of the race, a 25.5, I think. 35.5 it was on the previous lap, and and then he hit that debris. He was looking very pacey. He's now got to do a full lap with this rear left. I can't quite see. Yeah, it's a rear left puncture.
You can't see it because obviously the damn game won't give us rear view, which is a bit of a pain. But anyway, right, yeah, Peter Phillips is in the pits. Damien Hartman now leads the race. Marco Pullen is in second. John Donkel now only 4/10 off the back of Pullen as they're coming round turn 1 into turn 2. And I've got a sneaky feeling he's probably going to make the move before they get down to turn 6. coming round turn 3 now, and he's right alongside him. Round 4. Yep, trying to get on the outside. Surprised he didn't take the inside there, but still coming down to turn 6. Slides in behind Pullen.
I think Herman's retiring the car.
Is Herman's retiring?
Yeah, I think so. He spun again. Sensible thing would be to retire.
Yeah. Round turn 7, but looks like he's on the side there.
It's a shame.
Try and limp back to the pit if he can at all.
He spun sort of 4 or 5 times during that commentary.
So John Donkel now on the back of Marco Pullen as they're coming round 13. He makes the move on Pullen. Round 13. Brave move onto the dirty side of the track there. And Marco Pullen's off. Marco Pullen has spun off. He come off.
No, I know.
Round 13. Marco Pullen is out. We missed that, but he obviously went off as John Donkel was going round him. So Marco Pullen is out. Round 13. Another DNF. What a shame there for the Force India driver. Only Guido Airshine remaining now, and he's down in P15. So we've seen already a number of DNFs. Hans Vanderberg, Boy Williamson, and Marco Pullen. Although for some bizarre reason they're not showing us DNFs on the board.
No, I don't think Sander Herman has actually retired. I think he's determined to make it to the pit.
I think he is trying to get round to the pits, but certainly Marco Pullen, Boy Williamson, and Hans Vanderberg have. But they're not showing us DNF for some bizarre reason. Okay, so what does that mean?
I've got them up as DNFs. I've got them on DNFs at the moment.
I've got nothing on my board. I've still got them on there as down, but not DNF'd. So, interesting. See if that rectifies itself shortly. But Damie Hartman leading this race. He's got nearly 5 seconds on John Donkel in 2nd place. Seb Bogart, he's up into 3rd place now, and he's zoning in on the back of John Donkel. But Bas de Breen is equally coming in on the back of him. So this is going to be very interesting within the next, 2 or 3 laps. So I would say around about lap 15, things are going to get a little bit sticky. Now, remember I said these softs should go round about 30 plus laps. So we're going to see a long old stint yet from these drivers on the softs. Rob Mouldering, interestingly, he's on the ultra softs, as is Marcel Dronig. So they were trying to sort of get themselves back, I think, into the mix. Oh dear, who was that ahead of Mouldering? That was Bas de Breen, was it? Looks like he went on the dirty side there. So, keep an eye on that. Marcel Dronig's, though, 10 laps, just about to start his 11th lap. He's into the pits. Yeah, Dronig is into the pits. So Dronig now coming off those ultra softs. Rob Mouldering still on them. He's probably only got about a couple of laps left in those, if at all, judging by the previous runners on those ultra softs. And I would suspect, I mean, we're at lap 13 of 56. That would be the optimum time, surely, to go onto a set of mediums, wouldn't it, for Mouldering? Adrian, are you there?
Oh, no, I'm muted.
Oh,
sorry. Yeah, no, I was just having a look back at the tyre data, actually, for the real-life Chinese Grand Prix last year. Soft tyre lasted a maximum of 29 laps. Fernando Alonso was able to sort of stretch them out that far. 38 laps for the medium tyre. Although the ultra soft apparently can last 25 laps. I definitely can't see it lasting 25 laps in this race.
No, I definitely can't see that happening. I think the track's just too hot, and at this moment, well, not too hot, but I just don't think it will go. I mean, definitely not 25. No way. Not with these guys at the moment.
No.
So,
trying to check the track temperature.
We're more or less a quarter of the way through this race now, and Damie Hartman leads the way in the Ferrari. Behind him, John Dunkel, and he's losing time. Hartman is definitely pulling away. He's now up to just under
Mulder's
6 seconds to Dunkel.
Muldering's in the pit. He's going on to the. Looks like he's on the soft tyre. So he'll be stopping again.
He's going onto the softs indeed. He's not gone onto the mediums yet. So Seb Bogart is now in 3rd place. Bas de Breen, he's on the medium, so he's clearly looking to go in a lot deeper. He's in 4th place at this moment in time, 4.6 seconds off the back of his old teammate Seb Bogart. Kevin van Delft in the Williams in P5. Very nice indeed. On the softs. Yep. Great show from the Williams driver, bearing in mind he started at the back of the grid.
Yeah, remarkable drive so far. I just said we're only a quarter of the way through the race, but it's definitely a sign of performance and ability from the fairly new driver to the league.
Yeah, indeed, and then we have to look at it. He actually started in P18, as we said earlier, so up to P5. I think that's a really good show from Kevin van Delft there. So very, very happy with that one for him in the Williams driver there. Peter Phillips in the Toro Rosso, he's in P6, very respectable indeed for him as well. Martin Parder-Cooper in the sister Ferrari to Damie Hartman, he's currently in P7. He's got Stan Drumkov looking to make the move and him in the 2nd Williams. And Stan started down
was
in
contact.
P19.
Was there contact there?
No, there wasn't.
Yeah.
So 11 places he's made up. So the Williams drivers, although they had penalties to serve, always coming into the pits. So
Drumkov's in.
Drumkov is into the pits.
It's only 12 laps he's done on those softs. I think I did see a piece of wing come off. I've looked back
maybe
at
there is damage on there. Let's have a look. He's just coming into the pitch. Just quickly check whether there is any damage on there or not. Yeah, he is having a front nose replacement there. You're absolutely correct. So Stan Drumkov did have nose damage on that Williams. Miguel Torney,
yeah, collision with
P13. Yes, I think that must have been it. John Muss in the McLaren is in 14. Improvement though from Muss there. He's ahead of Stappers in the Sauber and ahead of Zander Hermans as well in the Toro Rosso. So he's up in P14. Not a bad show at all from John Muss in the McLaren there.
No, he's doing okay. I have seen a couple of sort of time penalties come up for Muss. But yeah, he's still in the race. He's still going, and there's a long way to go yet.
Indeed. Well, we've got another 40 laps remaining of this race as it stands at this moment in time.
Well, Muss has gone off.
The Red Bull. Has Muss
Sorry,
gone off?
Muss.
Yeah, he has, just as we said that, and cut to Torney, he went off. Oh dear. So Miguel Torney's in 13, Stan Drumkov in the Williams is 12, Guido Ershine in the Force India is 11, Marcel France is in 10, he's up for at least a point there. Marcel Dronig in the Haas is 9, Parder-Cooper in the Ferrari is 8, Muldering in the Sauber ahead of him is 7. Well, he hasn't got the DRS on him. Still over a second. Peter Phillips in that Toro Rosso, very respectful indeed, P6. Kevin van Delft though, great race from him so far in the Williams, he's up in P5, so he's dropped up 13 places. Bas de Breen, let's just remind ourselves of Bas de Breen. He's actually gone up 6 places, started in P10, so not a bad old show from him either there. He's up into P4 and he's closing down, or he's trying to close down on his old teammate Seb Bogart, but Bogart has pulled out the gap. But now he is very much within shooting distance of John Dunkel as coming down to turn 14. Is he going to be able to make the move before they get to 14? Not quite. He needs to get a little bit closer. He's got a second DRS, remember, once they come out of 16. Do you think he can make anything on there? He's got 0.8 of a second on Dunkel. Do you think he can make the move? Oh, and Dunkel really goes very, very slidey there. I don't know if he was trying to get on his line, but I don't know. Can he make the move or not? Doesn't look like it.
I think it's inevitable sooner or later. Although their lap times were pretty much even on that lap. Bogart's actually pulling away about 3/4 of a second over De Breen, and he's on the softer tyre. So there is 3/4 of a second between the tyres. So they're on sort of equal pace. in sort of in that respect. But yeah, I think eventually Bogard will make the move on Donko. I think it might be down the DRS just after the bank corner, but it's much easier said than done. Neither driver is much in the way of ERS.
That's very true, and we've seen John Donko defending before, and he is good at defending his line, isn't he?
Sorry, Van Delft.
Van Delft is out.
He was
P5. Van Delft is out.
That looks like turn 4? I think it's on the left-hand side of turn 4. 3. That's a shame that. He's looking pacey. Or his teammates not doing so well either, actually.
Too good round 2 and 3 at the moment. I'm just trying to see where Van Delft went off. Yeah, it must have been round turn 3. Jonkov has now gone past him, so yeah, it must have been turn 3. Although we can't see the car. So Van Delft in the Williams DNFs. You see, now I've got him showing as DNF, but I've still not got Pullen, Williamson and Van der Berg showing as DNF. I've just got them with the red arrow down.
Very strange. Showing normally for me, but there you go.
That is bizarre. Okay, so there we have Damien Hartman leading the race. John Donko is second, but zoning in on him is Seb Bogart, and he is all over the back of that Renault like a bad rash as they're coming round turn 6 now, on the exit of 6, leading up to 7, and round they go. And Bogart really trying to use the width of the track to get the speed round 8.
Now, what's significant, Eddie, is that John Donko and Seb Bogard are both battling for this position, and while they do that, Donko's teammate De Bruyne can close the gap, or at least mitigate the amount that Bogard would theoretically be pulling away if Donko wasn't there. I think there might be a little bit of team strategy. It doesn't seem to be closing
down. I can see that gap to De Bruyne just getting bigger. I'm not seeing it getting any smaller.
Yep, it is getting bigger, but it's not getting bigger at the same rate it was getting bigger.
Sorry, say that again, Adrian, because I missed that.
I said the gap is getting bigger. Bogard is pulling away from De Bruyne, but he's not pulling away at the same rate as he was for the last few laps. He's being restricted.
So basically, John Donko could be holding him up, which would give De Bruyne the opportunity to close down, but that's a big ask from Donko because he's got to hold him off, that being the case, for well, at least 3 or 4 laps.
Yeah, well, to be honest, even 2 or 3 laps would have an effect because it will force Bogard to have to put in faster laps to counter this deficit.
But then again, you know, he is on the mediums. I mean, well, you know, in theory, Bogart should be pitting before De Bruyne, so De Bruyne still has the advantage. But I concur with what you're saying. I mean, if Donko can hold off Bogart for at least 2 or 3 laps, it will bring down that difference, and it will give De Bruyne the advantage once Bogart pits.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know whether the medium tyre. I wonder whether De Bruyne actually has to pit. Just trying to look back at the real life. Hamilton did 38 laps on the mediums, but as I said, there was a safety car in the race.
According to the game, it should do 43 laps. The medium. Bearing in mind, got 56 laps. That would leave a deficit of 13. We're currently on 19. He's already done 11, so I don't think that window is big enough for him to go to the end of the race on those mediums.
No, perhaps not. But De Bruyne is good at managing his tyres, so we will
That
see.
is very true. That is very, very true. Now, I don't think there's anybody better in managing their tyres other than maybe Mark Stappers.
Yeah, absolutely. Moldering's going to make the move on Peter Phillips, by the way, down
we're
DRS.
watching Moldering now down to 14, makes the move nice and easy on that DRS. So Moldering in the Sauber takes P5 from Peter Phillips, and quite an easy move there, to be fair. So he is now released to try and catch up to De Bruyne, but almost 20-second gap to De Bruyne. So almost a pit stop there, but I'm sure he will close it down as much as he possibly can. And John Cool, though, is zoning in on the back of Bogart. Bogart has obviously made the move, and we missed that. Apologies, because I was watching that move by Mulder there.
Sorry.
So Bogart does make the move on Donkel. As expected, Donkel was trying to hold him off, but really couldn't. I mean, there wasn't an awful lot he could do. Clearly, Bogart was faster.
Yeah, no, it was inevitable. It looks like Bogart's actually got a bit more ERS than Donko. I think that's what
Came into
contributed
play
to the move. Yeah, down the start and finish. Bogart was saving up his ERS, and Donko was using it to defend. In fact, he's still trying to use it now. There's nothing of it to use, unfortunately.
Yeah, which is unusual because Donkel's normally pretty good on his ERS, so I think he's been caught a little bit wrong-footed there by Bogart.
Yeah, I think the sight of him sort of, just behind and now in front of him is forcing him to, causing him to not race in the same way as he would be if he was alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is imperative here for Bogart to really start pulling away from Donkel and from De Bruyne, because he's now got almost half a pit stop between him and De Bruyne. He really needs to take full advantage of that, doesn't he? Because he doesn't really want De Bruyne to get into the mix.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got to do all he can to sort of get him out of that fight effectively. I don't think he will. I think De Bruyne will find himself very much in the battle for the podium come the end of this race.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, certainly we're looking at the top four, and 3 of those are certainly looking very, very good for that podium finish. Damie Hartman, though, I have to say, fantastic start to this race. Obviously, played it really, really well. We were surprised when he came in early on those ultra softs, but it has really paid off for him, hasn't it? That early pit.
Yeah, he sort of played that to perfection. He's had a very entertaining race. I have to say, he's done everything right. He said purple second sector on the previous lap. This lap seems to be a bit of a cool down, but he's able to sort of pace himself. He's not making silly mistakes, and I think he's trying to ride it out. Well, he is trying to ride it out for the rest of this race. It is very much still advantage Hartman.
Yeah, absolutely. Seb Bogart obviously up in second place. We know he's made the move on John Donkel. They're pretty much on equal ties. There's 4 laps between them, so there could be said a difference once they start to drop off. But I'm quite impressed with Donkel, because Donkel is still staying with him, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. The only thing I would say against Donkel is that he's not he's not managing his ERS anywhere near as effectively as the driver in front, Seb Bogart, which allows Bogart to defend very easily down the long straights. Like now, for example, he's just put it up to mode 5, and Donkel is not able to do anything about it.
Pulls away, and that's it. Yeah, no, you're right. You can see the difference. It's going to be interesting to see once he gets around 13 what that difference is going to be. I mean, at the moment it's 0.869, so like 0.85 as they hit on the exit of the apex. Let's see what it is on the exit of the apex of turn 14.
Donkel's still within DRS range, though, so he's doing enough to stay with him. That is important, to stay within that DRS.
Well, he's actually closed it down by almost 2/10, down to 676. So clearly that DRS had full effect there and helped Donkel. But he's definitely staying with him. He's not giving up. But De Bruyne is dropping behind. It's now 10 seconds, nearly 10.5 seconds the gap from Bogart to De Bruyne. Well,
yeah, much better lap
11
from
seconds.
Actually, a much better lap from both Bogart and Donkel against De Bruyne. Able to sort of pull away slightly. De Bruyne was very slowly catching the 2 drivers in front, but not on that last lap.
Well, he still has advantage, though, it has to be said, on those mediums. I mean, I certainly would expect him to go to the high 30s on these tyres, which will give him the advantage.
Yeah, quite right. I don't know. De Bruyne maybe, as we said, he may be managing his tyres. So you know, the fact that he's falling back might just be a sign of him not pushing as much to conserve the tyres, so that he doesn't have to pit. So you know, he might be losing 10 seconds on track, but he'll gain 20 by not pitting.
And the other thing to say is there's quite a substantial gap between him and 5th place, Rob Mouldering. I mean, that's 17, nearly 18 seconds. So in reality, De Bruyne is sitting in a spot at the moment with those mediums where he doesn't really have to push. He needs to maintain a pace, and a good pace, but he doesn't have to push too hard, does he?
No, yeah, it's quite helpful to him that Mouldering is as far back from him as he is, because, yeah, as you say, he's able to, I wouldn't say relax, but manage his tyres a bit better than other drivers who are battling, like the two in front.
It might be possible. We could possibly see him going to the end of this race on these mediums, but if not, I would certainly, if he does pit, I would expect him to pit probably and go on to a set of ultra softs. I think that's what he's aiming for, because we've seen it before from De Bruyne. He likes to have an option in hand. So yes. I think his option in hand is, I can probably go to the end of the race on these mediums, but I want to have enough of a gap where I could, if I need to, come in and go on to those ultra softs towards the close of the race. And I think that's very much what's going through his head, and it's very much how his psyche works on these races.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. I think he does like to be comfortable in terms of his tyres, we might see him come in sort of around lap 50 and do the last 6 on the ultra soft tyre. Still watching this battle between Bogard and Donkel, and he's still within DRS.
I'm on board at the moment. He's still within DRS. He hasn't really stayed out of it. He's 8 tenths now. He did come down to 6 tenths on the previous lap, and he's now 7 tenths. So there is, Bogart is very, very slowly, pulling out a gap to him. And I'd say probably about a tenth a lap, if that, probably under that. But Donkel is doing a fantastic job of actually staying with him, I think.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it, Eddie? Because even if he doesn't overtake, he's constantly applying pressure simply by remaining within his DRS. He's frustrating Sebastian, and that alone can cause a mistake. I mean, we don't see many mistakes from Bogard, but it does happen, and
we've seen him doing DNF in previous races, haven't we? I mean, Australia.
Yeah, Australia, of course, and a couple of races prior to that in the previous season at Brazil.
Yes. So, he's not totally infallible, although it's not normally expected.
Very well said, yeah. I could not agree more.
So, anything can happen. I love to say that, and I've heard this all my life in watching F1. Anything can happen, and it normally does, but it is so very true.
Well, this is advantage Bogard now. He's got 50% ERS, able to put it in mode 5. Donkel, even though he's still in DRS, he's got nothing in the in his ERS. But he's still there. He's still there.
He's closed down the gap on the previous lap.
Amazing.
It just goes to show you, though, that how tricky this track is. I mean, okay, we've got the straights between 10 and 11 and out of 13 down to 14, but the rest of it is pretty twist and turning. I think that's where the advantage comes in, because that straight line speed is negated on the other sectors where you're basically, going around a number of S curves, because you've got what, 1, 2, 3 sets of S curves, which take up quite a considerable part of the track, probably about a good third at least, I would say. And I think that's what's facilitating and allowing Donkel to actually stay with Bogart.
Yeah, Bogart must be thinking, what have I got to do to get rid of this guy?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because
Um,
you know, whilst he remains in that DRS, he can stay with him. It's when he drops out of that DRS, I think that's when we're going to start to see the difference
yeah.
come in.
Yeah, that would be critical. Dronik's just gone past Parda Cooper, by the way, just on the penultimate corner before the start and finish. That's the battle for P8, P7, sorry. Dronik's passed Ershine as well.
He has. So Dronik has got up to P7. Drumkov, yeah, he's got past Drumkov. He's got past Parda Cooper. He's up to P7 now, and yeah, he's not doing too bad at all, actually. To be fair.
Was Damien Hartman always just 2 seconds ahead of Bogart? I think that gap's come down quite a lot, hasn't it?
That gap has come down quite considerably. That gap has come down quite considerably.
Both Bogart and Donkel were 7/10 faster on just the last lap alone.
So I don't know what's happening here, because Hartman did have a good 5 seconds, 4.5, 5 second lead. And that, as you quite rightly say, and I wasn't really paying attention because it wasn't what I was expecting, it's now down to just over 2 seconds. So I think that just demonstrates how hard Bogart and Donkel are actually pushing on this, to be fair.
Yeah, I know normally we say that, you know, that the battling slows you down, but I think in this case it seems to be pushing both drivers to set faster and faster laps, and they're both catching the race leader.
Yeah, they are, very much so. I mean, excuse me, Bogart definitely has Hartman in his sights, and I'm sure Donkel can see him as well. So, this is not what I was expecting.
I legitimately thought that was a back marker, actually, just ahead of them, and I didn't quite realise it was Hartman from the Ferrari.
Well, as I say, I mean, I wasn't expecting to look at that, because I was looking at the gap, as you say, around about 4.5 to 5 seconds, and with those two battling, I didn't expect them to close it down. But as you quite rightly say, I mean, I think what we're seeing here is Bogart got past Donkel. He's put the pedal to the metal, which we would expect under normal circumstances to obviously close down the gap to that P1 of Hartman. But Donkel, and this is the surprise, Donkel has stayed with him.
Yeah, he's done very, very well to remain just within 1 second all the time. And I think that's going to be critical to the his final position at the end of this race.
I totally agree, and especially as both drivers are pretty much on, you know, equal set of tyres. Okay, as I said, there is a 4-lap difference, but that advantage of 4 laps, if anything, is to Donkel.
Yeah, as I say, he's done very well to get into the position and situation that he's in right now. Again, just still half a second ahead behind Bogart, who is actually coming into within DRS range of Hartman. This may help him pull away from Donkel.
But again, let's look at De Bruyne here. De Bruyne, you see, is now 13 seconds behind, where he was just under 10 seconds, or I think it was actually less than that, 8 seconds. So this is clearly showing the pace of these two drivers, the Haas, obviously, of Bogart, and the Renault of Donkel. But you're right, I mean, if Bogart can get past Hartman on the track, that is really going to make things very complicated for Donkel.
Yeah, so I'm just watching the battle actually between P1 and 2. Just seeing if Bogart can get within that DRS range, because that's going to be crucial.
He obviously hasn't made it on that second DRS there on the start-finish straight, but I think he is very likely to have it on the exit of 13 when they get on that first DRS down to 14. I think that is a foregone conclusion the way it's going at this moment in time.
Yeah. Uncle seems to have forgotten how to manage his ERS. He's just sticking it in mode 4 now and just running it dry every straight.
But he's already, look at this, he's dropped now behind Bogart. He's out of DRS now to Bogart. Yeah. And this is going to be critical, because Bogart now has seen he's got Hartmann in his sights, and I think that's the difference now. I think that has re-energized him, and rather than worrying about who's behind him, he's now concentrating on who's ahead of him and how to get past him.
Yeah, that's it. The pressure is dropped. Sorry, France is retired. We don't quite know where that is on track.
Marcel France has DNF'd. And it looks like that was probably around turn 7 or 8. We're just running with Mark Stappers now. He's just coming up there. Round 8, round 9, 10.
Oh, both
Bogart
and Donkel. Sorry, Bogart and Donkel both in the pit. And Hartmann in as well. No, Hartmann's staying out.
No, staying out. Miguel Torney's in. Hartmann's still out. Miguel Torney is in. So Seb Bogart and John Donkel. Now, is Donkel responding to Bogart, do you think?
Yes. Yes, I think
so.
It's
got to be, isn't he? Donkel is definitely responding. He's going on to another set of softs. Donkel. Oh! Sorry, I thought I collided there for a minute.
He's
got past him. He's got ahead of him on the pits. On the pit exit.
No way.
Wow.
I don't think that'd be... wow.
That would be an unsafe release in the real world.
Yeah, that's remarkable.
Majorly unsafe release. Now,
it's still
Bogart has gone on to the mediums. Donkel is on the softs.
I think the softs can do it. I think Donkel's on the right tyre.
Debris moved up to second place now, and Hartmann is still in first. Now this is interesting because now Debris is the man that Hartmann needs to be conscious of if he comes into pit. He's 13 seconds behind him, but John Donkel is at 25 seconds and Bogart 26 seconds behind. So clearly Hartmann has that pit window where he can come in. If he comes in now, he'd come out in P2, but he needs to get that gap between him and Debris really opened up now. This is what he needs to... Oh, and he's in. Damien Hartmann is in. So Damien Hartmann is into the pits. Debris coming round 15. A bit messy round 14 by the looks of it. Hartmann is in the pits now. Debris coming round turn 16. Onto that start-finish straight. So Debris will be now leading the race. Well, we weren't expecting this so early in this time. Donkel and Bogart coming in has really mixed it up again now.
Yep. He's a familiar name at the front of the pack, but yeah, as you said, didn't really expect it at this point in the race. Hartmann probably could have done a couple more laps.
Yeah, I mean, you know, do you think Donkel should have stayed out there and tried to see if he could get, you know, the cut on the next lap?
Yeah.
But I mean, he's come out advantage anyway because he's got out ahead of Bogart on the pit anyway. But that was pretty damn close.
Yeah, that was. I think that was a little bit lucky as well in some respect. I think what Donkel, or what I would have done if I had been in the same position, is saved up the ERS for the last couple of laps before coming in, so that and then stay out when Bogart comes in, and then use all your ERS on your laps when you got the clean air, and then work the overcut.
Well, I've got to say, I think Donkel's entry into the pits, I mean, I could be wrong, it could have been planned, but I think it was more of a reaction to Bogart coming in. But if so, it was very last minute.
Yeah, it was.
His pit crew must have been on the ball.
Donkel's going to make the move for P2 on Hartmann. He's had a great exit from turn 13.
Does it into 14. But hold on, Hartmann's should come back round 15 now. This is going to be interesting because he's going to be on 16. If Hartmann is behind round 16, he will have the DRS.
True, he hasn't got the grip though. He hasn't got the grip in those medium tyres. He's going to do it under DRS though. He's going to
try and make the move. Does it? Oh, can he keep it ahead of him though? He does. But look at this. Look at this, Donkel's coming back, but Hartmann coming back as well, trying to get round him, but Donkel, I think, has made it stick on the exit of 4. Yes, he has.
Yeah, good stuff.
Stapper's picking up a 3-second time penalty there, so nice move there from Donkel.
That's what I love about turn 1. You always get the the attacking driver on the inside makes the move, and then the defending driver is able to then make the pass again on the same corner.
Yeah, well, it's just because it counter opposes, doesn't it? I mean, one turn goes
Yeah.
one way and the other goes the opposite way, so it gives you the advantage on track. You know, if you're on the inside, if you're on the inside, you then go to the outside. If you're on the outside, you go to the inside, and that's where the advantage is. Because Donker was on the outside, but then when coming round turn 3, he was on the inside, and that gave him that advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a Renault 1-2 at the moment then. Green and Donkel.
Well, we were discussing the Renault 1-2 during the qualifying sessions. We're over halfway through this race, 32 of 56. Oh, look at that! Oh, look at that! So Bogart makes a move on Hartman, round 14.
Oh, and Hartman just spun the rear tyres as well. He's lost a lot of time there.
Dearie me!
And
there
Hartman.
we were. I mean, Hartman, well, he's on those mediums, but I don't know if that's going to make any difference because these guys are going surely to the end of the mediums will definitely go to the end. De Breen obviously needs to pit in. Now the question is can Donkel make it to the end on these softs, or has Bogart called it right?
I think Donkel will be sweating a lot more than Bogart to make them work. It is doable. He just needs to have the confidence.
23 laps remaining. De Breen has already done 25 laps on those, but we know De Breen was in a different situation. He was pretty much in a race of his own on those mediums, so they should be able to go deeper anyway. But we've seen the guys coming in off those mediums. I don't know. I think Donkel will still have to pit, you know.
Maybe. I don't think he will, personally. If he can just keep it together and you know, take a leaf out of his teammates' book, manage those tyres, don't fret about Bogart. You know, double world champion behind you.
Yeah, don't worry about the double world champion behind you and ahead of you. That just doesn't matter.
Yeah, if he can put those things out of his mind, I think he'll be all right.
Yeah,
so probably not.
He's going to have to put himself in what I would term this year a Leclerc frame of mind.
Yes, yes.
Because that is certainly going to be very interesting to see how that, going to real world, how that Ferrari driver is going to deliver this year.
Yeah. Donkel seems to be refusing to manage his ERS now. He's not even touching it, just keeping it in 4 forever.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much given up on it, really, hasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Bogart is aware of that. He's saving up his ERS comfortably. I think he's looking for a move under ERS, and Pete Phillips is in the pit from P5.
Yeah, Phillips is in the pit, and so there's been so much action with these guys up front. We've been somewhat neglecting the guys further down the field. So while we've got a little bit of a breather, although saying that, Bogart is only 8/10 off the back of Donkel at this moment in time. If you could keep an eye on that, and I'll just run through the back markers here. So Sander Hermans is bringing up the rear, did so well on the start of this race, but you know, it just needs to get his racecraft together. Fantastic qualifying from the Toro Rosso driver, getting up into Q3.
He suffered a puncture, didn't he? Hit that debris I was talking about
exactly.
early on in the
yes,
race.
Indeed, he did. He suffered a puncture, so you know, great shame there. But he's sticking with it. He's staying in there. He's on the softs. He's in P14. Then we have John Muss, the new McLaren driver. He's hanging on in there in P13, making sure he goes to the end of this race. Just being lapped there by Damien Hartman by the looks of it. Mark Stappers in the Sauber is in P12. Miguel Torney in the Red Bull is P11. Guido Airshine in the Force India. Good solid race from him. Not his favourite track, certainly. I'm aware of that one. And he's in P10. Martin Parder Cooper in the second Ferrari.
Torney's retired.
Currently P9. Miguel Torney has retired. I've only just mentioned he's DNF'd actually.
Safety car's been deployed.
Safety car is out. I'm just trying to see where he is.
Breen won't want to see this.
This is
He may
not
come in actually.
good news.
De Breen may come in.
Right, safety car is out. Shouldn't stay out for too long though. De Breen is the man that needs to catch up to it. And he should catch up to it, I would suspect, probably after turn 4 at this moment.
John Donkel is going to be loving this safety car.
Well, I think to be fair, I think Damien Hartman is the one that's going to be loving it. Because he's on fairly comparable tyres to Seb Bogart. And Hermans comes in, but gets a 5-second time penalty. Yeah, I think the one that's going to be smiling the most is definitely Damien Hartman.
Fair play. Rob Molderink as well. He's 30 seconds
De Breen is
behind.
in. De Breen goes in to the pits.
Yep.
Good shout
Molderink's
there,
30
Adrian.
seconds.
As John Donkel stays out.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he might have come in. Yeah, Molderink is also going to be laughing. He was 30 seconds behind Hartman ahead. That's going to be completely mitigated.
Well, it all depends on how long the safety car stays out for. And the safety car is certainly coming in a lot quicker this year, I think, from previous ones. But yeah, as I thought, turn 5, there we go. John Donkel's now caught up with a safety car. So that should give Molderink, I don't know, 41 seconds. He's closing it down quick. He should have enough time to close down to De Breen, actually. So De Breen has come out in P4. Molderink should be able to close down to him before the safety car goes in. I would expect the safety car to go in at the end of lap 37, but it could well go in at the end of this lap. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, Seb Bogart, obviously, he's closed right up to Donkel, and he's on the medium tyres. Hartman is closed right up to Bogart, and he's on the medium tyres. Now, this is the man. This is Damien Hartman's. I think this is Damien Hartman's opportunity to get on that podium, to be brutally honest.
Yeah, possibly. I think Hartman could have done himself a favour by pitting for the soft tyre on his natural stop, rather than the mediums. I think this is currently advantage Renault. Both their drivers are on what I said is the correct tyre. I know it didn't look like that the soft could make it to the end, but this safety car period is going to help that massively.
Oh, definitely. And De Breen, obviously, he's closed right up to Hartman as well, and he's on the soft. So this could be De Breen's opportunity to actually get past Hartman and Bogart and get himself up into a possible 1-2 for Renault.
Yeah, I think De Breen's still got his sights set on the race win, which is absolutely within his reach. Oh, there's contact there between De Breen and Muss.
Erskine, that looks like, actually. Muss is, Moldering's just bringing up the rear. Guido Erskine out of place.
Muss has got a 5-second stop-go severe collision with
he? Oh, it was
Breen.
Muss then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So Moldering has caught up to De Breen, although he's got a back marker of Erskine in between them. That could be tricky. Surely he can overtake Erskine, can't he? He should be able to, and Erskine is 10, so...
In real racing, yes you can. In game, no you cannot.
So this is going to be very interesting indeed. Yeah, and the safety car is indeed out, so that will be coming in at the end of lap 37. This is really going to close everybody up now. I think it's only Peter Phillips needing to close up now to Moldering. Then it'll be Droney closing up to Peter Phillips, and he's got Stappers ahead of him, who's actually P11. This is when it all starts. Oh, dearie me. And John Muss going off track there. Oh, dear. Droney nearly going in the back of Stappers there, as Muss was rejoining the track. So, safety car will, I expect, to be coming in at the end of this lap. And it's now down to John Donkel. He is leading this race. And this is a position that I'm sure he's more than happy to be in. Although on the opposing side, he's now got all his competition right up close and personal. I would expect De Bruyne to make that move, or look to make the move on Hartmann and Bogart within the first lap or two. So this is going to be very, very interesting once they wind up. And Donkel is staying with the safety car. He's going to need to back it up a bit. Maybe he's going to do it on turn 14. So
yeah, he's of course entitled. He's entitled to back the pack up.
He needs to drop the pack.
Catch
He needs to drop back now. He needs to drop back in a major way. Oh no, and the safety car's staying out, so it's going to be end of lap 38. So lap 38, the safety car will be coming in.
That's surprising. I think Sander Herman wasn't quite at the back of this little pack. And so therefore, oh no, not Sander Herman, sorry. I'm trying to see who's actually back of the pack in real terms. Oh, Molderink's in the pit. This is a very late pit stop. That's probably a wise move.
Now, what is he going to go on to? He's on 9-lap-old softs. We've got,
softs again, I think.
what is it? 18 laps remaining. Is he going to? Yes, he's going on to the ultra softs. Is he? No, Drunkov is on the ultra softs. But what's Moldering going to go on to?
He's on the. It looks like it's the same set of soft tyres.
Was it a penalty? It could be a penalty he had to serve.
Yeah, it could have been. I'll have a look.
I think it was. I think it may have been a penalty he was serving because he stayed on the same set of tyres by the looks of it. Let's have a quick look here. Yeah, I think it was a penalty that he was serving.
I don't see a stop go on his.
Interesting.
On his
I
race
guess his tyre options when he came in was medium, and that was it. So he's thought better off staying on these softs, but they are 19 laps old. There could be a glitch in the game. He could have changed tyres and gone to another set of softs, but it's just not showing.
Possibly. Worst case, it's going to be that that he actually is on the same set of tyres and is screaming at Jeff.
Yeah, that could well be it. Yeah, that's another option. Right, now you can see John Donkel really backing them up now. Letting that safety car take the lead, round 13. This is going to be very interesting indeed.
Nice to see John Donkel's found his ERS buttons.
Oh, he has now, has he? Yeah, and he's got full well. Everyone's. I would say everyone's pretty much replenished on the ERS as I go through the pack. I think everyone is on 100% ERS by the looks of it.
Yeah.
And this is going to be important because they're going to have to defend. Now, Damie Hartmann is up into P3. As we know, Seb Bogart is P2. They're both on the mediums. John Donkel is leading the way, but Bas de Breen is in P4 on those softs. And the safety car has got in there off now. Damie Hartmann's got ahead of John Donkel.
Wow, Damie Hartmann's just overtaken both Donkel and Bogart.
He has indeed.
Both drivers caught sleeping.
They were caught very much sleeping there. And Hartmann definitely got the advantage. Now this could play into Donkel's hands because Hartmann is going to hold up those guys behind him. And De Bruyne really, really needs to get past Hartmann to get that 1-2. So that Hartmann jumping up in there, I think, has really played to the advantage of Donkel.
Yeah, Donkel's done well to recover that the race lead. I think that's because of the extra grip that he's got in the softer compound tyre.
I think it
Bogart might be looking for the. Well, Hartmann's just. I think Hartmann's struggling with cold tyres a little bit, as are probably most of the drivers. Well,
just going on board with Bogart now. They're on equal medium tyres. De Bruyne is right up behind them now, and I'll go on board with De Bruyne because this is going to be the important one. Can De Bruyne get past his old teammate Seb Bogart and Damie Hartmann? Bogart makes the move on Hartmann before they get down to turn 14.
Pure ERS then.
Yeah, definitely. So they're pretty much on comparable tyres, as we know, Hartmann and Bogart. But De Bruyne, this is the man now. This is what he wants to do. And Donkel has already got 1.5 seconds out ahead of Bogart. So Donkel is most pleased, I think, at this moment in time, with Hartmann holding those guys up behind him. And this is really going to be a very interesting close to this race on these remaining 26 laps.
I think another factor, contributing factor to Donkel's 2-second advantage here is the fact that the softer tyres tend to warm up slightly faster than the harder compounds.
Yeah, but that's what surprised me, because De Bruyne hasn't really closed down as much as I mean, he's 5/10 off the back of Hartmann, but I would have expected him to already have made a move, at least on Hartmann. So I'm a little bit surprised by that. Oh, and he goes wide, as does Hartmann. Very wide out of 10. Around 11 and 12. Now this is where it's going to count. He's got 8/10 on the Hartmann. Sorry, 9/10. This isn't going to be enough for him to make the difference. And look at that. Bogart is really trying to break the line to Hartmann as much as he can, but can't quite do it. Does stay ahead, but De Bruyne now is closing in on the back of Hartmann. He needs to get past him if he possibly can. Come around turn 16. He hasn't got the pace. DRS has been enabled now. It's just out of DRS range. Hartmann out of DRS range to Bogart. Bogart's certainly out to Donkel, and this has really, really done Donkel the world of good, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. It has. I'm just looking at Donkel's DRS again. He's done what he was doing before the safety car.
Absolutely thrashed it. He's got nothing left.
No, that's just well, we 2 laps after the safety car come in.
And De Bruyne. So Hartmann and De Bruyne probably both on 3/4 ERS as it stands at this moment in time. Bogart and Donkel are practically on 0.
Yeah. Hopefully it won't come back to, you know, he won't rue that decision. As De Bruyne's actually set the fastest first sector of the race. I think De Bruyne may be looking at the move soon.
It's got to be. He's 7/10 to Hartmann. I still don't think that's quite enough down to 14. I think he needs to get within about 5/10 on that DRS zone between 13 and 14.
Eddie Mouldering pitted again. He's on the ultra soft tyre.
So he's pitted again. So clearly he got wrong-footed there, didn't he?
Yep. Yeah, I don't quite know what happened there.
I
was actually up to P5 though.
They may not have been ready for him. Junkov has indeed got up to P5 in that Williams. He's got Peter Phillips in the Toro Rosso. Right.
And De Bruyne's passed Hartmann.
Close to 9 was it. And De Bruyne has passed Hartmann now, as we expected. Now this is it now. He's only got to get past Bogart. He's 1.5 seconds down the road, but Bogart is half a second under, 0.3 of a second behind Donkel. But they both got next to no ERS, so this is going to be very interesting indeed. It should be the advantage of Donkel, because obviously he's got those softer compound tyres, but we'll see how that pans out. De Bruyne has clearly got Bogart now in his sights, and we've only got 24 laps remaining. This is going to be a very, very close, nail-biting end and close to this race. It really is.
Yeah, Bogart's just, he's really sort of utilising his ERS much better than Donkel. And I think that is what is going to win him this race.
I think Bogart's going to get ahead of Donkel. I don't know. I'm still not so sure about that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be. Don't forget the gap was 2 seconds, just a few laps to go. I know, appreciate he's on there. He's actually on softer tyres, isn't he, Donkel?
He is.
But yeah, he's not making the most
fastest
of them.
lap, 1:34.7. Let's go on board with Bogart now. We're on cockpit views. They're coming. Oh, round 3. Now, this is where Bogart will have the advantage out of 4. But he needs to stay tight in there. Oh, and Donkel's so close. He's got the advantage round 6, certainly. But Bogart is definitely pushing him. They come round 7. They're almost side by side. Debris just watching the guys ahead of him now. They're coming round turn 8 into 9.
Donkel's actually in mode 5 now. I don't know if he's aware. You've got to have ERS actually in the engine to be able to use it.
I don't think he probably cares at this moment in time. Now, we are going to see Debris make the move on Bogart. Watch this now. Definitely. He's 5.5 tenths on him. He's going to look to make the move down to 14.
Bogart's it, but DRS himself.
Got DRS, so it's going to be tough. Oh, and Bogart pushing Donkel as much as he can. He's got his second DRS. He's down to 6 tenths now. But they're side by side ahead of him, Donkel and Bogart. Bogart has the DRS. Debris can't take advantage of it, but oh, look at this, and the Bogart gets ahead, and Debris gets ahead of his teammate as well now. He's up and close and personal to Bogart. Round turn 3, this is it now. Debris can smell the blood in the air. Donkel drops down to 3rd place. But Debris now is right on the gearbox of his former teammate. Renault versus Haas as they come round turn 7 into turn 8. And he's definitely, if he stays this close, he's definitely going to be able to make the move with him between 13 and 14. Donkel should be able to stay with him because he'll have the DRS on his teammate Debris. What a great move there by Debris, though. He was calculated, he sat back, watched it, took full advantage with his tyres and his ERS. Bogart looking to brake. Look at this, look at this. And I appreciate Bogart is leading this race at this moment in time, but it's not where I expect him to finish. I've got to be honest with you, Adrian. I really don't think he can maintain that place.
No, yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with you. Debris managing his tyres exceptionally well.
But he's
before
really
the safety
depleted
car.
that ERS now. He's on the same ERS levels as the other drivers around him. Little bit
Slight
of contact there,
between the front of Debris. Yep, no damage.
Coming round turn 6 now.
Pressure's really on him, isn't it, on Bogart?
Big time, really is, and he's on those medium tyres as well, and those Renaults behind him are both on the softs, albeit Donkel's are somewhat older, and I've still got a question whether Donkel can actually go to the end of the race on these, and especially now. I mean, okay, he's had a bit of a respite with the safety car, but even so, I don't know. I think it's going to be close.
Donkel's finally found mode 0. He's saving up some ERS. Don't do it on the straight though, you need to use it on the straight.
That could be dodgy because he's got Hartman only 6 tenths off the back of him, less than that now, and Hartman is all over the gearbox of Donkel. Hartman is going to make the move on him on that DRS. Yes, look at that, straight past him. No problem whatsoever there. And Hartman gets in the 3rd place. And this is not... Ooh, he's got the advantage. Yeah, this is not what Donkel wants. It really isn't. And now he's got Stan Drumkov closing in on him on those ultra softs.
Well, didn't realise Drumkov was quite so close to this pack, although Drumkov's just gone wide. But
he has wide round 16. Yeah. But he's on the ultra soft, so he is definitely going to be pushing. Although to be said, he's on 10 lap old ultra soft, so Oh, dearie me, in the background there, that's John Mussoff.
Yeah, I think he was letting people pass.
Was he letting people pass? Oh, well.
And there, yeah. Oh, John Donkel's just gone off. No, he's just lost the position as Drunkov's passed.
Drunkov has passed him. John Donkel fluffed it round turn 5, I think it was 4, actually, exit 4. Drunkov has now got past him, and oh dear. But I still think he has the opportunity. Drunkov is going to have to pit, but he needs to get past him. He's got Damie Hartman now up in P3. He's on the mediums. Seb Bogart, he's in P2. He's on the mediums. And De Bruyne, as I thought, yeah, look at that. De Bruyne's got up into P1. He's got past Bogart as expected. And he really is a master strategist. I've got to say, De Bruyne, he's very, very calculated.
Yeah.
He's only got 10 laps remaining.
You know, I mean, personally, I believe that strategy is about 80% of your race. The other 20% is your sort of raw race pace. But often, I mean, strategy is for me is 4 times as important as pace.
I've got to say, and he's played it beautifully. He really, really has. Certainly a well-deserved first place at this moment in time. 9 laps remaining. Surely this means that De Bruyne has it in the bag, really. I mean, okay, he's got Bogart on the back of him, but I just can't see Bogart being able to get past him. I really can't.
He may not. He may not. He's at least going to keep the pressure on. I think that Bogart will be sort of always there until the end of the race. So De Bruyne's not got it easy until the end.
No, he hasn't. And Donkel has dropped back. I mean, he's about a good 3 seconds behind De Bruyne at this moment in time. He's got Stan Drunkov in between him. Drunkov is going to have to come in and pit, definitely, off those ultra softs. I cannot see him going to the end of this race on those. But again, said that, he was going through the safety car stint on those, and that safety car stint was what, 3 laps, 4 laps?
Yeah, 4 laps that was.
So, in theory, you could argue that he's actually on 7-lap-old ultra softs, but maybe he could go to the end. I don't know.
Yeah, I was looking at his sort of lap times of the last 5 laps to see if there is any sort of significant drop-off. It doesn't look like there is at the moment. His lap times are very consistent.
So we could possibly see Drunkov taking that P4. And he's definitely eking it out from John Donkel. John Donkel is now 1.5 seconds behind him. So this could prove very interesting indeed. And it's such a shame because Donkel seemed as if he had it in the bag a few laps ago, didn't he?
Yeah, it did. It did. I think the sort of lack of any sort of ERS management did contribute to his downfall there. Not only in terms of not having the pace on the straight, but forcing the tyres to just work extra hard on the corners, the rear tyres especially. I think that wears them out so much faster. I think it would have helped him. Yeah, he would have dropped off maybe half a second a lap going into mode 0 and 1 during the corners, but I think he'd have much more to gain on the straights.
Yeah, it could have helped him.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, now we have it. Bas de Bruyne in the Renault is leading this race. Seb Bogart, his former teammate in the Haas, is just over a second behind him. Damie Hartman in the Ferrari, and Hartman's done well. I mean, you know, he dropped right back. He had to pit. He's come back again. He's in that top 3. So fair play to Hartman in that Ferrari. Stan Drunkov, though, in the Williams, is in P4. That's 14 places he's made up. 14 places. And what a fantastic run for him, it has to be said. I mean, he really is improving every single race, isn't he? Unmute your mic, Adrian.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Cheers.
But he really has, hasn't he? 14 places. Yeah. I mean, he did fantastic well last week in Bahrain. He's doing a great job here again in China. I mean, surely we're looking at a driver that you know, he's going to be a force to reckon with, if not this season, certainly for season 6.
Yeah, absolutely right. Like I was saying a moment ago when nobody could hear me, yeah, Drumkov, he's done it exceptionally well to to get right up to P4 from where did he start? P18.
18.
And yeah, yeah, absolutely phenomenal stuff. He's not really put a foot wrong this race, but yeah, I mean there's still sort of 7 laps to go. He is on ultra soft tyres. I think he can make them work though.
I've got a sneaking suspicion he could well take these to the end, but even if he doesn't, good run from him, certainly. And John Donker, well, he's dropped down to 4. A little bit disappointed there, because I think John could have made more of it, and I think you're right. I think you hit the nail on the proverbial head there with that ERS management. He just hasn't been able to get that ERS management working for him on this Grand Prix. He's been so good on previous Grand Prix with that ERS, but this one, it's just all gone to pot, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I know why he wants to keep it in mode 4, because he wants to stay with the driver in front. But sometimes you have to recover a bit to gain later on.
Yeah.
I've done sort of many a test on the sort of various tracks with the different modes, and yeah, you save so much time by actually, in theory, going slower. So that you can go faster on the straight. There's so much more to gain there.
And
but it's difficult to...
Donkel's really applying the pressure here to Drumkov. He is looking at every single angle that he possibly can to overtake him. But, you know, Drumkov is just doing enough to stay ahead of him and defend his line. And I think there's real frustration here being shown from Donkel, trying to get past Drumkov, because he knows that he's got to get past him to stand a reasonable chance. There's only 6 laps remaining. He's only got a very small window to make that move on Drumkov to give him the opportunity to try and close down on Hartmann and get that podium finish.
Yeah. He's just doing everything he can to get past it, isn't he? You know, he's also thinking about what could have been. And I think that's sort of adding to his frustration even more. You know, hopefully it's not going to sort of translate into a sort of catastrophic mistake. But I think it'll be okay. I think it is a matter of time actually before he does pass.
I don't know, because Drumkov is really sticking to his line and he's really doing a solid job there. The question, unfortunately, is when those ultrasofts drop off. They are, as we know, with ultrasofts, going to drop off in a major way. And that could be the thing.
Yeah.
Donkel coming round 2. He's got past him. But remember, Drumkov will have the advantage out of 3. But I think Donkel's made it work. Yes, he has. Donkel finally gets past Drumkov now. And that has released him to try and catch up to Damien Hartmann. But he's got just under 4 seconds. And only 5 laps remaining. He has really got to push now to try and get that 3rd place on the podium.
Yeah, and you can only push if you've got juice in the car to push with. He is ironically saving his ERS.
He goes wide round 9, very wide off the line in 9. So Drumkov drops down to 5th. Still respectable 13 places. Peter Phillips in the Toro Rosso, though. Solid race from him. I mean, he's been consistent. He hasn't been up there in the battles. I'm sure he's had his own in that midfield there, which we haven't necessarily caught onto. But a good race there from Phillips in the Toro Rosso.
I think he's going to pass Drumkov. It looked like he was. Drumkov had a terrible exit of 13. Just touched the grass. But yeah, Peter Phillips, I think this is the best race I've certainly seen him have. He led 2 laps of the race actually earlier on before the safety car.
He did indeed, and the first time we've seen him doing that.
First.
So he has put in a great race. Peter Phillips, has to be said. Good solid race from Peter Phillips in the Toro Rosso. Marcel Dronig, he's in P7. He's been toing and froing, but he's got up into P7. So I'm sure he's going to be happy with that. Certainly in the points. I think that's 4. Is that 4 points? 7th place?
6 points.
6 points. So, you know, respectable 6 points there, especially with his teammate picking up 18. So that's 24 points potentially on the board now for Haas, and I'm sure they'll be very, very pleased if they can take that home. And Martin Parder-Cooper in the second Red Bull, he's in P8.
In a Ferrari.
In the Ferrari,
Red Bull
sorry,
last
I do
season.
apologise, not the Red Bull, sorry. I'm looking at it, saying it's a red car, and I say the wrong car still, never mind. I was even going to say his teammate to Damie Hartman, and I still got it wrong. Anyway, it's stressful, this broadcasting and commentating, you know. Anyway, so Martin Parder-Cooper in the Ferrari is in P8. Rob Mouldering in the Sauber is P9. His teammate Mark Stappers is P10. Guido Airshine, well, not his favoured track, but to be fair, he's stuck with it, and he's still in there.
He was.
So,
Airshine, before we move on, Airshine was P5 at one point before his spin. So, you know, you could say that, you know, he could be in a much better position than he is now, but it's just not how it's gone, unfortunately.
no, as I say, it's definitely not his favoured track, and you know, he's got the opportunity, maybe. I don't think so. He's got 3 laps remaining to get into the points, but I don't know if he can make that move on Stappers or not. Mouldering picks up a 3-second time penalty, and actually there have been a few time penalties applied, so they will come into play. And bearing in mind the closeness of these drivers, certainly in the top 7, it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. And Peter Phillips is closing in on Drumkov. Could well make the move on him, actually, and take P5. You saw that earlier in the lap between 13 and 14. He closed down the gap, but he stayed there as well. So Guido Airshine's 11. 12 is Zander Hermans in the sister Toro Rosso. And John Musk bringing up the rear in the McLaren. Keep going, John. Don't give up. It's never easy on your first season as a rookie driver, but stick with it. You're going to learn a lot, and you're certainly going to pick it up, if not later on this season, undoubtedly in season 6. So Bas de Breen leads this race. He's got nearly 3 seconds on Seb Bogart, as I expected. I didn't think Seb would be able to stay with him. So Seb Bogart, he's in P2, almost 3 seconds behind de Breen. Damie Hartman, again, he's dropped right back as well from Bogart. He's about 2.5 seconds behind him. And John Donkel, well, he really hasn't been able to close that gap. It's 5.5 seconds. He's going to have to be satisfying himself with P4 unless something major happens ahead of him. Drumkov is still in 5th, but he's got Peter Phillips all over the back of him, like a very, very bad rash that you really do want to go and see the doctor about.
This battle for P5, in my mind, this is also effectively the battle for driver of the day. Both of these drivers have had remarkable races.
I totally agree with you on that. You know, Drumkov, obviously, fantastic race from him. You know, he's pulled up 13 places, but equally, Peter Phillips has led this race. He's been fighting all the way. He's done a good, solid race, nice and consistent. So I do tend to agree with you. And both drivers, you know, that's what we look for when we look for driver of the day. It's, you know, improvement. I was previously looking at points incurred, but to be quite honest with you, with the amount of points that are incurred during a race by the majority of drivers, there's little point in that, excuse the pun. So, yeah, we do look for really... Oh, look at that! Drumkov going all over the place out of 13, but it gives Phillips the opportunity to get past him before he even gets into the DRS. So fantastic.
His tyres are going, aren't they?
They are. Those Ultrasofts have just dropped off, and he's got 1 lap remaining. 2 laps remaining, sorry. Well, 1 lap in effect. So poor old Stan, we were waiting for those Ultrasofts to drop off, and I think they just have. Now this could bode well for Dronig, because if those Ultrasofts have dropped, and it certainly looks like they have, Dronig could have the opportunity of taking P6 from Drumkov.
Yeah. Yeah, don't often see drivers this close at this stage of the race, but because of that sort of quite late safety car, yeah, it's just... oh, Rob Muldering's retired, sorry.
He has. Rob Muldering has DNF'd.
2 laps to go.
And It looks like it was out of 4 or 5. I'm not too sure which. Can't see his car on the track.
It's a bit later than that. Shappers is some way behind Mulderink.
Let's have a look at this. And we're going on board with Shappers to see if we can see where Mulderink came off. Oh, Codemasters, if you're watching, please bring back the option of going onto a driver that's DNF'd. So important.
I think it might have been
broadcasting.
Yeah, it might have been around the
12. I think it might be around 12 actually. He still hasn't overtaken him on track.
No.
Yeah, that was round 12. It was round 12. Well, on the exit of 13 by the looks of it. So, final lap has now started. Bas de Breen coming round turn 3. Seb Bogart just coming round turn 2. Damie Hartman round 3 as well now. John Donkel is in that 4, but he's 8 seconds behind Damie Hartman. So we're looking, I think, at this moment in time for a Renault Haas Ferrari podium. And Donkel just out. And Donkel's going to be kicking himself on this one, isn't he?
Yeah, he has been. I know.
Dronig does make the move on Drumkov.
Yeah, Dronig's passed. I know we were just talking about driver of the day. I think John Donker might be up for whatever the opposite of driver of the day is, having lost the lead.
It hasn't been his race. I mean, he had, you know, the ERS management has definitely come into play there, and it's such a shame because normally he does do it so very well, but he just went to pot on this one, and I think you're right. I think that is what has cost him a podium finish in this race, if not first.
Yeah, absolutely right. John, I was only joking about the opposite of driver of the day.
No, he wasn't.
Always my driver of the day.
He wasn't joking. He wasn't joking. We're going to start a Donkey of the Day award.
Donkey of that's it. That's the one.
You'll think you'll get DOTD, but it won't be. It'll be Donkey OTD.
No, but I mean, besides these sort of ERS non-management,
De Breen takes the win. Sorry, I missed that. De Breen takes the win. Bogart comes second. Hartman comes third. John Donkel finishes fourth. I do apologise. I was concentrating there. I forgot we were on the final lap, so I missed. Sorry about that. Bas, Seb, and Davey, but we'll see you on the podium. Peter Phillips takes fifth. Marcel Dronig takes sixth. Stan Drumkov will take 7th place. Oh, actually takes 8th. Martin Parder-Cooper is 7th. Guido Airshine takes 9th, so he does get in the points. Fantastic result for him.
Mark Stapper's retired on the last lap.
He did. Mark Stapper's DNF'd on the last lap. So, what a fantastic race. What a fantastic win from Bas de Breen. I've got to say it, the master strategist.
Yeah. Absolutely right. He's he's just so good at managing his tyres, isn't he? And he did so well even before the safety car come in. And when it did come in, I predicted that he would pit, and he did pit in for the soft tyres, so it gave him the advantage. He come out of P4, nice fresh tyres, and he's just done everything they needed to do.
He has done an absolutely fantastic job there, and very, very well deserved win there for Bas de Breen. Second place goes to his former teammate Seb Bogart, and third to Ferrari Damie Hartman, and certainly he's going to be looking forward to those points. It's going to make a big difference in the championship, but Bas de Breen, he was down in 8th place after this, but he's picking up some very, very valuable points. Remember, Nicky Visser, who was in second in the championship, didn't race. Rob Mulderink, and let's quickly go through this now, finished in 12th, so he was out of the points. So there we have it. 5th, Peter Phillips. 6th, Marcel Dronig. 7, Martin Parder-Cooper. Stan Drumkov. 8, 9, Guido Airshine. 10, Mark Stappers. 11, Zander Hermans. 12, Rob Mulderink. 13, John Muss. And then we have the DNFs, Miguel Torney, Marcel France, Kevin Van Delt, Marco Pullen, Boy Williamson, Hans Vanderberg. And that is the results for today. And an unexpected podium, I think, really. I mean, one of them we probably got right, which is Bass, but the others, not what we were expecting. I mean, we expected Seb to be up there and close, but not on the podium. I've got to be honest. You've got to unmute your mic again, Adrian.
Oh, for God's sake. Sorry. I keep doing that. That's like 4 times today. Yeah, no, he didn't have well, his qualifying session was completely non-existent, wasn't it? He had connection issues in Q3, started P10, and yeah, he had sort of a lot to do, but he knew what he had to do, and he utilised his strategies perfectly, I have to say.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic, great race, and it really has mixed up the championship now as well. And I'm not too sure if we can actually just have a quick look, see if we've got. So no, we haven't got where the session is at this moment in time. But yeah, fantastic race. Next week we are in, well, one of my, I've got to say, this is one of my favourite tracks. In Baku, Azerbaijan, a fantastic street race, and really look forward to that. And if today's anything judged by, and indeed if season 5 as it's going so far is anything judged by, it's going to be an absolutely blinding race. So please do make sure you join us next week, Thursday night, 7:30 on. This will be F1 Tonight, the only Xbox full race distance league. And if I'm wrong, please feel free to correct me. I'm more than happy with that. And on closing, I would just like to say once again, our deepest condolences to Charlie Whiting's family and friends. He's going to be very sorely missed, not just by the drivers, but by all the F1 aficionados and race fans, and we doth our cap to him. Fantastic man, great loss, and that's it. That's all I've got to say. Adrian?
Yeah, very well said there, Eddie. Yeah, as I said earlier on, big loss to Formula One, and our thoughts are with his family and friends. Just finally going back to the league in question, F1 Tonight. We've had 3 winners in as many races, and I think it might be 4 in 4 at Baku.
Yeah, I think it could well be. Yeah, I think it could well be, and it's going to make for a very exciting season 5. So we'll see you again next week. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you again next week. Good night.